Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula is here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Jonny Sue is still spinning on ones and twos. Great show today. Let's do this, fam.
He's spinning. Stop.
That's it. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get over to our Rokfin. Listen, guys, get over to the Rokfin.
People have been asking for you guys when I've been doing these videos. So let the audience know how you feel, how you're feeling, and how this experience has changed you.
Well, obviously we don't get sick often. We've talked about this. I'm one of those people who I got in trouble later on in life because my mom had said, "Why were you sick in school all the time if you don't get sick?" And I'm like, "Oops." So I got caught playing hooky because I generally don't get sick. I don't take a lot of medications. I've never really taken pills my whole life. Natural medications are the only things I've really taken. This was really, this was a little rough. It made me think about a lot of things. There was obviously a couple moments. If you haven't seen Fiorella's RT episode of Crosstalk the other day, it just came out. It was awesome. Watched it last night. You guys had a lot of laughs. I was actually supposed to make my first appearance, but I couldn't because I had chest pains and dizziness and a lot of weakness, and it led me to go to urgent care just to make sure everything was okay. However, when it comes to the COVID itself, I still have the same opinions. I don't like what's going out there as far as the financial issues, the way we're kind of making these lockdowns. We've been locked down. We got it, right? So there's a lot of things. I don't want to kind of jump ahead because there's so much stuff within the show we're going to talk about that will incorporate what's going on. But the experience has been humbling of sorts. I'm glad to be back here on the show and do this. Obviously the last show we had, the live show, was when you didn't go because you weren't feeling good, and I did the show myself, and I thought it would be nothing.
Yeah, and then I came in.
Yeah.
And I started feeling that was
better.
I was bad. Yeah.
But seeing you that day, your eyes all red, seeing Jonny this way, at first we thought Johnny's being Johnny hypochondriac, but no, it was serious. We were all kind of like, my ass was kicked. It was kicked. However, it's been a weird experience because coming out of it, I still feel the same way when it comes to the whole COVID-19, what's going on. And I think at the very end, I put in the news, we can talk about it. And I'd like to hear Johnny's opinion when we talk about what we did, what we took, what we're taking, and we'll be able to kind of just discuss it more. But it is great to be back here.
They missed you, Pasta.
I missed them.
You, Johnny.
I missed them. I missed you, fam, doing the show. This has been too long.
I know.
Johnny over there, here. This is who we are. This is what we do. So it feels great to be sitting back down and being able to do it. I'm still a little sluggish.
Yeah, we're still not 100%, but
we're going to bring it today because we have a lot of things to talk about, and there's some things we can talk about, fam, because we want to keep the show going because we don't want YouTube to shut us down. So, in fact, if you are on the YouTubes right now or the tweeters, get over to the Rokfin, Rokfin. It's going to be very interesting to see where this whole thing goes, fam. Because there's a lot of talks about laws, the election, all this other stuff. It's going to be very interesting. But get over to the Rokfin. It's very important to us. Rokfin. And fam, I don't know if you saw it the other day for your video. Somebody left you a juicy tip because now you can leave tips on Rokfin.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think it's wonderful. Now that Rokfin has the tip thing, guys, try to make your way over there because we have to divest. And we'll talk more about that from YouTube. So
yes. You want to get right into it, right?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Okay, let's talk about this because I haven't been able to respond back to my friend.
Yeah.
Our friend, we talked and stuff. We've been kind of up in the air. It's called the Jimmy Dore's plan. I'm calling it the Dore Referendum.
I like it.
Jimmy Dore has come up with a plan. We talked about it. We were on the Action for Assange visual. We got their opinions because I'm a little bit like, I don't know about this, fam.
Right.
But Jimmy Dore's plan is, and let's put up the first tweet, is to pretty much say the squad, any progressive, Rokana, anybody right there, you can please pressure Congress and Nancy Pelosi, all the progressives in Congress should withhold their vote for Pelosi as Speaker unless she agrees to bring up Medicare for all for a vote. And it will only take a handful of votes to pull this off. This is your leverage, in caps. Please use it. Force a Medicare for all vote. Fam, he was talking to Barbara Lee. What do you think?
So they're not going to do it. And I know Jimmy has said multiple times, like, I don't necessarily think they're going to do it. But he is doing the right strategic move by exposing them. Like, hey, progressives, you should be doing this. This shouldn't be an ask. This should be automatic. This is what they fucking should be doing. They should be going out there and withholding their vote and standing up to Pelosi, opposing her, and saying, if you don't support Medicare for all, if you don't do this, this, and that, I'm sorry, you don't get our vote, and we're going to hold our ground, kind of like the Tea Party, right? That's what we've all been trying to we've been discussing this for a while, but they haven't done it. And you know what? They're not going to do it, you guys. Because it's not about doing the right thing. It's about the fact that big pharma and these insurance companies have so much control and power in our government that these people are afraid to oppose Pelosi because they're afraid to lose whatever sort of power hold that they have.
Any committee appointees too, they're afraid to lose that.
Exactly.
They don't want to lose their committee position.
Exactly. So. But the reason this is still I think a decent idea is because Jimmy gets a lot of shit like we do when it comes to, oh, well, he never gives any solutions. He's not doing anything. 17 minutes, Sam Cedar sat there and literally was spewing bullshit with Emma Vigilant about how Jimmy doesn't do anything, how he never does anything. This is like a slap. This is like, look, I'm doing something. You guys, this is an action that I'm supporting, and it exposes these people because when they don't support it, when they don't stand up to Pelosi, I hope some of these progressives who are still duped and think the squad is the second coming of Jesus are going to be able to figure out real quick that they're not on your side. So there it is. Prove him wrong. Prove me wrong. Yeah. I hope they do it, but I don't think they will.
So I kind of agree with you in certain senses that the fact that I don't think they will do it, but I do think, and I was listen, I'm at the point now, I said it's enough with the Democratic Party. It's like, why are we going to go into the mafia and try to reform it from the inside? Not going to happen. We've been using the meme, right?
Right.
So at what point do we say enough is enough? I thought the reason why they were starting MPP was the fact that they don't have to deal with the Democratic Party anymore. So the fact that they're still dealing with the Democratic Party kind of is bothering. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
no, I feel that way too.
Why are we even dealing this again? But it is going to, it's putting this in front and center of a lot of people with this huge audience to say, look at them. Now we're giving them a solution, because how many times have we said on the show, fam, that it's Pelosi that's the keeper of the gate, that they should just take standalone bills to Nancy, the squad, and call a press conference. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar with the rent relief, saying she's not putting up our bill for a vote, like the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Party. We talked about it when John Boehner went to them and said, I made a deal with Obama. They said, well, you didn't make your deal with us, pal. We have demands and you haven't met it. Yeah. And even though we're in the same party or side, you're not getting our vote until you give us what we want. They should be doing that. If the squad was for real, they should be doing this. But also, fam, too, for me, the problem is, even if they did do it, is that enough?
No, it's not, because then it would go to a vote and it would get knocked down. So for me, it's got to be bigger than Medicare for all. It should be a list of demands, and the squad should be arming protests, sit-ins. They have that. They have the following. They have the ability to do that. They have the people on their side. They could easily do much more than the minimal that Jimmy's asking, but they're not doing it. And that's the whole point. You have to, I feel you. I 100% agree with you on that. Like, we need to leave the Democratic Party. We need to cut the cord. We need to cut all ties. But this is like kind of like throwing it in their face. Like, okay, fine. You want us to call, you want us to ask, you want people to do this work, fine, they'll do it, but you'll see what happens. Absolutely nothing. They're gonna find a way to knock this shit down because they don't want to do it, you guys. And so all of this proves is, hey, we've tried everything now. I'm sorry, that's it, we're done.
Yeah, I still think there's a real big ideological difference with the squad and progressives out there. It was kind of funny, the show you did, you guys talked about this. So, it's not just Medicare for all is not the only answer. But don't get me wrong. Listen, when I went to urgent care the other day, they wouldn't give me a COVID test because I didn't have insurance. Yeah. So I'm not going to sit there and say that Medicare is not important, but it's not the only thing. And the way we phrase it and sell it is important. You know what I'm saying? Because I think you would probably disagree with me right now, is that I'm not, and I hate insurance. I've been paying insurance my whole life on my car. I just looked at I was like, where did my $200 go? It went to my insurance because I got full insurance on my car, and I hated it. Been paying it for so long, and barely have had a fender bender. But it's still, I don't want to take away people's right to buy insurance if they want it. But you have talked about we have to see you're different. But see, I mean, that's the thing. We have to talk about these things, and it's what I'm saying is it's not the only difference in giving more power and credence to the Democratic Party when we have such an ideological difference. They don't know anything about Section 230. They don't know anything about our civil liberties or talk about foreign policy. And now they're shining away from having fair elections when their own leadership was complaining about these machines months ago. I mean, there's so many different things that are things that they're just like, no, I just don't agree with the elected progressives, if that's what you call them. Their ideology is missing a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely. Their ideology is absolutely missing a lot of things. But I mean, I just think the insurance thing is 100% based on a for-profit system. It has nothing to do with anything. And like, this is why they're even these people who are still tied to this for-profit system. A lot of not the progressives necessarily are taking that money, but they're controlled by that system still. And so it becomes like we could get into the public option argument all day long, but it's like, as long as these companies have a seat at the table where they're involved in the legislation, at some point it's going to become going to become a for-profit system if you let a foot in the door. That's how, as long as they keep their foot in the door, that's why there has to be a nationalized system, and then you can buy whatever else you want to buy if you want more of whatever it is you want. I agree. I think that's fine. But as far as everybody having healthcare, that's like an archaic thing. I mean, literally third world countries have healthcare for everybody. And so I think it's a moot point to argue that, but like you're right. The progressive whatever group in Congress is completely awful on foreign policy. They're completely awful on any sort of civil liberties issues. They haven't said a word about Julian Assange. They haven't said a word about any of these issues, and they pretend that they're for Medicare for all. This is the thing. They're for Medicare for all. They're for a Green New Deal, but what are they really doing to achieve that? And that's what I mean. Yeah. They're not taking opposition to it. So really, are they really for it? Yeah. That's what,
in fact, they're not even taking opposition. They're joining the people who facilitate the problems, because the Democratic Party, the leadership of the Democratic Party, they're not communist. They're capital globalist. Okay, and they'll sell out. They'll sell you out in a heartbeat to make money for themselves. And we'll talk about this later for what's going on in California. Right? They'll sell you out to make a dime, and they act like they're fighting for the little guy. And yet they're the ones who have facilitated all these huge problems when it comes to homelessness and bad health care and shitty jobs and these lockdowns. I mean, they're awful, the leadership. What I like here in this next tweet is Jimmy, and this is a very important problem. When you talk about who they kind of capitulate to, Mark Pocan, okay, he's vice chair, right? Once again, he's another one who says on a TV show, oh, we can't put it up for a vote because it won't win. Like, what kind of shit is that? No, if you're a progressive, you should be holding the line. First of all, I don't even know who Representative Mark Pocan is.
He was a Bernie chair. Bernie, I think he was a co-chair at some point. He's not liked by my friends in Wisconsin. He's a fraud. He canceled a Palestinian event at the last minute because he didn't want to get the backlash from all these Zionist groups. Yeah, he's not a progressive. He parades himself as one, but he's not.
Jimmy Dore says, revealing that Mark Pocan's voicemail was down over the weekend because so many calls urging him to withhold his vote for Pelosi as speaker until she agreed to hold a vote on Medicare for all. He's ignoring all those calls and instead gaslighting you with this healthcare news. I mean, because they do. They act like, oh, it's a right. You should get healthcare.
Right.
Blah, blah,
and then they're like, no, we're not.
And then they turn around. They stab you in the back every single chance you got. Now, Ranya's into it. Ranya Kalik put it up there. I just wanted to assure some people who are out there. Great push from Jimmy Dore, laying out how progressives in Congress can force a vote on Medicare for all. Do they have the spine to do it? Fam, I think you already answered.
Yeah, no, they don't.
No, they don't have the spine to do it and stuff. But they also, once again, because ideologically, and this is with a lot of our progressive friends. I'm going to say friends right now because we're at battle with them. I mean, they're amazing people. The progressives that we know, the progressives that we got started with here in California are the ones who work the food banks, get people showers. They are the real activists doing the works in the streets. I love these people left and right. We just got a call. Somebody's going to send us groceries and all that stuff for people who have COVID. I mean, these people are amazing. But we know these people, fam, too, when it comes to policy and it comes to reaching across the aisle. They've been duped to say, no, don't talk to those Nazis. And they don't even pay attention to the policies that are very nuanced and go deep and really dictate what we can and cannot do as far as our lawmakers are concerned. So
no, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just they don't know what we know, because this is our job to know all these things, and that's part of it too. What sometimes when you're on the ground doing all the activism, you don't really necessarily know what's going on behind the scenes, and that's it's difficult. We all have the things we do that we're really good at. So yeah, I don't blame some people, but there's a little bit of like, not everybody that disagrees with you is a Nazi. Are there real Nazis? Yes, but not everybody that disagrees with you is automatically one, and we should stop just throwing that word around, because it diminishes when it really is somebody. Because
the majority of people are not. And I mean, there's a lot of people that have disagreements with you and stuff like that. It might even seem like they're being mentally, or I don't want to say mentally, but they're being somewhat racist in nature and stuff, with the whole wall and all that stuff. And I
mean, that is like an anti-immigrant stance.
I do. But there are a lot of people who live on the border of Texas. We know what's going on in Juarez and all that shit. I mean, I think it's just a complicated situation. But I always say, well, why don't we just go back to the roots? Yeah, well, the roots of the problems.
Right.
Once again, we're supplying all the guns that kill people in Juarez. We have the gun club loophole where they can go and walk out, buy a gun, or rifles, sell it to a Mexican cartel guy in the parking lot for 5 times the money. You need that money to pay. You know what I'm saying? They made a movie about that, The Mule, I think, with Clint Eastwood, who was selling weapons because he needed the money to feed his family with his illnesses and stuff. So they do those things. Then the murder rate in Juarez is like 3 times the rate of what it is in Afghanistan and stuff. So we don't ever identify the problems. And we always talk about, when it comes to immigration, it's like, okay, well, let's stop with our imperialistic ways, and we won't send so many people here because we wouldn't tear their country apart so we can resource extract bananas or whatever the frig, or from Bolivia if we're stealing lithium. So, we always go to the root of the problem. So, I mean, I think these conversations are nuanced, but even if it does appear to be racist, fam, I think we still got to get in there and have conversations with these people. I mean, if you have a chance to
go on Fox and talk about why, Tucker Carlson is wrong, then do that. Like, or talk about why, the idea that Biden and Harris are communists is so far from true. They have more in common with the right than they have in common with any communists. So, like, it's these ideas that need to be talked about, and we can't talk about them and change minds if we don't talk to people who we disagree with.
And that's the thing. The people who are nuanced about that will complain about the money ties with Seneca, with Seneca Partners and all this other things where, the Bidens have interest in money involved in China and stuff like that. But that doesn't make them a communist. So, I mean, we need to have these conversations and stuff across the board. They're a lot more nuanced than they are. And I think that you did point out a great point. When you spend so much time in the streets and doing all this work, it's hard to dive into this stuff. I mean, we spend so much time going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole that we've been armed with information where, we're not out there most of our time consumed. Because I know some of these people work 12, 14-hour days, giving people groceries, making people sure have showers. These people. We know who these people are. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to belittle them for their political decisions, but it's concerning the fact that they get duped by the establishment to go for a certain narrative. Sorry for wasting so much time. Marianne Williamson, hugely important from Jimmy Dore. Watch and spread this around. We need Speaker Pelosi to put Jayapal Medicare for All bill up for a vote, and there's a way to make it happen. She points it out. So some people have got into the act.
The thing with Marianne Williamson is she's like hit or miss, like mostly misses lately when it comes to pushing Joe Biden, when it comes to these things. Like, she was great on the debate stage when she was talking about immigration connecting to foreign policy. But like when it comes to a lot of like she's still at the end of the day a rich woman who is in politics. So I take what she says with a grain of salt, I go back and forth with her.
Well, my questions here for this topic are, what would this accomplish, or what will this retract from if it actually happens? In other words, let's say the squad does do this, mm-hmm. and they force Nancy Pelosi to put up a vote, and it gets shot down like we think it will, right? Mm-hmm. What does that do then for the squad's power? What does that do for their movement? What does that do for people getting behind them?
Right. I mean, if they were smart, they would do this, because even if they weren't serious about getting it, it would make them look like they were trying, and people would literally be like, oh, well, they tried, so at least they're trying. It would elevate their power. It would elevate their hold. I still wouldn't fall for it, but everybody else would. And they would be like, okay, yay, the squad is at least trying, and it would actually help them.
Exactly.
With the progressive movement.
It'd be a great PR stunt.
It would be a great PR stunt. Yeah, that's how PR works. You pretend that you're for something, and then you really don't. Behind the scenes, you're not really pushing for it. And the Democratic establishment is really great when it comes to PR stunts. I mean, this is what they do. They live for PR stunts. So I'm actually, I would actually be stupid of them not to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that they're not going to do it and stuff. And that's the next thing. What was this accomplish, or what will this detract from if it doesn't happen at all? And they just go ahead and they endorse Mama Bear, and she becomes the speaker again. And what does that mean for the squad right then? I mean, that's the whole beauty of Jimmy kind of pointing this out, because I don't think Jimmy thinks this is going to happen.
No,
I haven't discussed this with him, but I think he knows he's going to put it in front of all right, people, look, we just gave you a solution. Do what the Freedom Caucus did to the right. You do to the left. Say you're going to withhold your vote. They don't do it. You've been exposed.
Yeah, and if it doesn't happen, though, not much is going to change. I think more people now than say 6 months ago are aware that AOC is not who they thought they were. But she's still got a huge following, and she's got a lot of the centrists behind her too, and the media loves her. I mean, if she was any real opposition, she would be smeared by the media. She would be hated by centrists, but that's not the case because she's not real opposition. So whatever. And I don't think it's going to do much to them if they don't do it. I think the people who have always believed in them will continue to believe in them, because it's hard to, people would rather lie to themselves and accept the truth sometimes because it's too hard for them to handle.
See, the third option I have, if it halfway works, meaning we get some actual floor discussions about this, but it just falls short, because I'd like to see in Congress who would be like, okay, well, those people who would push for the public option and say, well, I'll settle for the public option. Let's at least do something where we can open up Medicare or Medicaid, whatnot, to some people, and they can opt in if they want to. It was what Dennis Kucinich wanted when he was like, this is the bottom line. He wanted a Medicare system for everybody, but he says, I want at least a public option. Let's not sign on to the ACA unless there's a public option. So I'd like to see that conversation there and stuff, and seeing who Congress maybe can be moved or left or right. And I think it would also expose who on the left and on the right belongs to the establishment and who the free thinkers are, that we can say, okay, this person's at least trying to present solutions. No?
I mean, I'm 100% against the public option. So for me, it would, I personally would be like, yeah, fuck that. Because again, it would be a setup to fail system, because you would still have those people writing legislation, and it would eventually, they would say, oh, it's too expensive to have a public option. Let's go back to what we had. That's the whole ploy with the public option plan. So, I mean, if people would be willing to do that, I think some people would vote for it. I think some of the more moderate Democrats and Republicans would vote for it. But what
if they came up with a public option plan, but they kept Big Pharma out of the room? It was like a Dennis Kucinich kind of, and Bernie Sanders and stuff.
How could you keep Big Pharma out of the room when
you're writing legislation, right?
So having, let me put it this way. Having a public option means that if you're rich, you can buy way better insurance than what I can afford.
Yes.
That's what it means. So you are still making healthcare for profit. You're still saying that if you're poor, you only get shit healthcare. But if you're wealthy enough to pay more money, then you get much better healthcare. That's why I'm so against it. It's such an elitist, classist type of plan. And these people are still going to do all their for-profit. They're basically going to diminish what you get for free and try to say, well, if you want to actually get good healthcare, then pay. So you're going to end up paying anyway. This is why, it's like, no, it's like we either do it fully or people are going to die. It's like that. People are fucking dying. People are fucking dying. You couldn't get a fucking test because you don't have insurance. I mean, to me, that is absolutely ridiculous. There should be absolutely no place for these people to have a seat at the table. But I mean, even that they won't do. That's the thing. I know that's what you're saying. Even that they won't fucking do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very curious to see, because I remember Dennis Kucinich wanted to push for the public option. He says, if I'm going to make
when was that?
This was when the ACA was coming around. Remember that?
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah. Obama had it.
9?
2004.
Oh, 2004.
2008.
8.
I don't remember
Obama wasn't in office in 2004.
It was when Obama got in office. It was a big thing. He had to take up Dennis Kucinich and Air Force One, fly him around, and he still refused to whatever and stuff. That's more discussion for another day. Johnny, your thoughts on this whole situation? What would you like to see? What do you think about Jimmy's plan, and where do you stand on everything?
Well, he's just asking for a vote.
Yeah.
Well, one, the squad's not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And then two, even if they put it on the floor for a vote, it's not going to pass.
With this,
But then I guess you get to see who
Yeah.
doesn't vote for it. So then that's why. I know some people in the chat have been saying that it's just to put people on record, is what Jimmy said.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's to put these progressives
On record.
to show that they're really not that progressive. And that's why I think that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, if they don't do it, their ass is on record for not really pushing for this, you know? And if they do it, and then you see who votes for it and who doesn't, then their ass is also on record. So, I mean, even though I don't think they're going to do it, I think it's a good way to show how spineless these people are, including some members of the beloved squad. So
Well, I mean, they suck on foreign policy, and they're not saying shit about Section 230 in this argument, this discussion.
No, they're against it. They're against whatever Trump is for.
Yeah,
basically.
that's it. And don't get me wrong, I don't know if I'm necessarily for the removal of it and stuff. I would like to see it enacted in a proper way you can't break. Well, no, I'd like to see them say, you broke these antitrust laws.
Yeah, it has to be specific.
They've never really upheld 230. They allowed them to use algorithms to get around it. But
right.
Let me read some super chat contributions. Johnny McCarthy, we love you, buddy. Careful how they spin this Hunter Biden story. Don't let them replace Russiagate with Chinagate. We don't need any new Cold War. Yeah, I hear you, but I don't want to get into it now. I'm doing studying on it right now, guys. I'm watching a lot of videos. I'm looking into some old books and whatnot and stuff. You can't deny the money influence from some of the Chinese oligarchs inside our system. So, I mean, I'm not going to say
that doesn't mean that they're communists, though.
No. Like I said, they're global capitalist. They'll sell us out. They're the ones who pushed NAFTA and got it in there so they can take our workforce. And there's people in
China that are entirely against that too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's because China is a mixed economy. So
and you know how I am.
We can get Carl's on the show.
I'm a panda hugger, fam. You know what I'm saying? Is that what they call me and stuff? Like, I love the way they've pulled people out of poverty. You know how I feel
a lot
about
of the
China.
right just hates China. Like, a lot of the right just hates China, and some on the left too. Or the Democrats, they hate China.
Yeah.
Like, and they have this anti-China, like just like they have the anti-Russia. So you have to be careful with that because they will twist the information to make it look like there's something now. But if there's money ties, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a government thing. That can mean it's just a financial
yes
situation.
But I mean, when you're doing it with government officials like Joe Biden and
because
stuff,
there are people in China who do want a more capitalist Western globalist economy.
They do.
But there are people there who do not want that.
And I think China, no matter what, was smart enough to make sure they pulled their people out of poverty so that people wouldn't turn on them. We're turning on our people right now. We're having arguments in the streets because everybody's so goddamn poor.
So in America, the government is controlled by corporations. In China, the
government controls the corporations.
Exactly, the government controls the corporations, so it's different.
Yeah. Pearl Center, thank you so much. Red Black Shirts and Reds by Michael Parenti. I will send you 2 copies if you tell me where. We'll get you a P.O. box to send it to. Thank you so much for that super chat contribution. It's always appreciated on the
Parenti.
couch. And I saw my boy Michael Castelli Paisan. Thank you for the super chat. Well, what do we call him on? What are we calling him, Johnny, on Rokfin? Thank you for the Rokfin tips. Salute. You can do now tips on Rokfin. It's awesome, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the likes on each side. There's only 11 people on Rokfin.
Guys, we need like 20 at least. Come on. 30.
She used to say 30, so just give you 20.
I'm giving you because
Fam, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this because we're very divided on this. A couple of my friends were like, "What the hell was she thinking running as a Democrat?" And they immediately messaged me like, "This is like awful." I'm like, "Yeah, I agree. I don't So here's the thing. Nina Turner will be running for Congress as a Democrat. She filed to run. You guys can see it right here. It says for Nina Turner for U.S. She's running for Congress. And it says Democratic Party House of Representatives. So she's running in Ohio. Now, Ohio, if you know anything about Ohio is, as of late has been a red state, but it has its elements of blue. It's a purple swing state sometimes. And but it tends to be more conservative in general. So her district that she would be running in is particularly a Democratic district. So people are saying, well, she wants to win and she thinks that that's the way she can win. Or maybe she's going to start as a Democrat. And this is what Niko said, that she'll start as a Democrat and then move into potentially the People's Party once it's ready, because they're not ready yet. So that's that, right? For me, I will not support any Democrats anymore.
Ever.
Like, personally, I might love you as a friend. I might think you're wonderful. You're a wonderful candidate. I supported Democrats here this last time, and that was the last time. I will never, ever, ever support anybody who runs under a Democratic ticket for Congress. For Congress
Not
and
even
above.
Tulsi.
I don't know if I feel the same way about city council and that, but even that, look at what Shama Sawant has done by not being a Democrat. So even that, I still say there specifically is where you can grab power from outside cadres. And I've seen it here. We've had a green Santa Monica mayor. We've had Greens in city council. It's possible to do that. So really, for me, it's like, if we're ever going to cut the umbilical cord, if we're ever going to get out of this toxic relationship that we have with this party that constantly beats us up and literally tells us you can't do better than me, and you stay with them, you stay with this freaking toxic relationship, you don't go beyond it. And that, I'm so done with it. And I think if progressives continue giving power to the Democratic Party. Oh, but Nina Turner is different. She's going to challenge them. It's like, yeah, but what have I seen every single time? Let's say she wins, right? First of all, because they're going to cheat. They're going to throw millions of dollars to run an establishment hack against her, right? Okay, so that's good. You're making them lose money, but really, she's unlikely to win because this is how they cheat, because we don't have democracy in this country. And let's say she miraculously gets through. Let's say she just happens to get through. They don't pay attention. They think oh, she's a non-issue, and then she gets through and she wins. What are the odds that she's not going to be crippled or go down the same path as the squad? What makes you think it's going to be any different? Because the Democratic Party changes you. You don't change the Democratic Party. Yeah. So I just don't see that, Pasta. I don't see the point in running as a Democrat. She could run as an independent. Yeah. And she's so popular. She's so popular that she could win as an independent.
Yeah. And I understand that. I know Ohio, I think, has closed primaries, and so that's another issue and stuff, but it doesn't make a difference. You should be running as a populist. It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The Democratic experiment, as far as changing it from the inside, is over. It's not going to happen. And the leadership of the Democratic Party across the board is friggin' awful. They're terrible on policy. They're tied with big tech corporations. They don't give an F about you. They don't care. So if there was ever a time for Nita to say, you know what, I'm going to run as an independent, a populist in my town, this is it, she would still win if she got a fair election. Now, here's the thing. This is the time for any populist mind, independent, that if they have an election, a small local one, wherever they're at, to challenge it, to seize everything right away, and to fight like hell to make sure that everything's in place to give you a chance to win. I know what they did. We know what they did to Cynthia McKinney. It was terrible what they did. They don't like anti-globalists in office at all. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, the establishment will go after you. You have to fight them tooth and nail. This was an opportunity, if not now, when? Yeah. Nina Turner, get in there and run as a goddamn independent populist and break this two-party duopoly. All you need to do, if Bernie Sanders can win as an independent, why couldn't Nina Turner win as an independent?
Exactly. And why I know Vermont and Ohio are different, but
she would get Republicans to vote for her, fam.
But she would. That's the thing. This is where the progressives fail, right? Because they don't want to reach out to these people, and you should. Because right now is the time where you could turn a Republican and say, you know what? look, I'm running against this corporate Democrat. This is how I'm different. This is how I believe I'm going to help small businesses. I'm going to do this and that. Like, you might not agree with my ideology. There are people who watch this show who don't agree with my ideology. Okay. And like, they're like, but I'll listen to you. If that can happen for us, why can't a progressive do that? And I know they can, because in 2016, Bernie Sanders got a lot of people who were Republicans to vote for him. In 2020, when he backed off from all of that, he lost all of them. That's why people voted for Tulsi Gabbard instead, or people were looking for a more independent-minded, populist kind of thinking, because there is like, I don't want to say market, but there is an audience for that, and you should go and take advantage of that instead. And this is the time is ripe right now, where people are kind of coalescing. We're seeing people lose everything they have, lose their businesses, lose all of this, who were maybe Democrats before. They're seeing a Democratic governor screw this up. They're going to be like, wait a minute. What do you want them to go to a Republican? What if they went to an independent? What if they saw that, hey, we can unite under this populist mentality and take this over? That is something that is ripe there. And if progressives don't see that, they continue giving their power to a party that has continuously screwed them and spit in their faces, then we're never going to get there. You're still going to continue ties with the Democratic Party. They tie your hands. She has to sign shit. Like, this isn't, she's not going to be able to do what you think she can do just because she's Nina. And as wonderful as she may be, that doesn't mean that party ever gets my support ever again.
And it was a bad move. Just of all times to do a bad move, man. Fred Hampton's ghost is going crazy in the chat. Italian Stallion, exactly. They will just rig it against Nina or have her take the knee. And the People's Party is supposed to start in 2022. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, because I thought she was a part of that clan, that whole mentality of like, okay, we're going to run as independents, whatnot. We're going to run outside the two-party duopoly. But too many times I see these MPP people echoing AOC, or it's like, what are you doing? It's like, we didn't put you into play. People aren't supporting you and putting you into play for you to capitulate and try to work with the Democratic Party.
No, we want you to leave them.
Oppose them. Get out of there.
Stop. Like, a lot of AOC retweets, a lot of like these progressive retweets. It's like, no, you need to cut ties with those people. We don't want you retweeting them. They were happy that she was running as a Democrat. I'm like, I called them out. I'm like, why are you happy that she's running as a Democrat? This is not a good thing. I'm sorry, it's not. And you can paint it as a good thing. Oh, it's Nina. It's great. Why is there this cult of personality? And this is the last point I want to make on this. Why is there a cult of personality when it comes to people running for office? Like it's like with Bernie too. It's like, well, he's so amazing. He's so wonderful. He's going to change everything. Same with Nina. Like, she's so amazing. She's so wonderful. She's going to make it. It's going to be different. No one individual can do this. We're talking about the deep state here. We're talking about these horrible, awful, psychopathic people in power. One person isn't going to change that. It's like progressives just want to pick their fighter. They want to choose their fighter and do no work to fix the conditions that have screwed us time and time again. And they just think they're going to send somebody there and they're going to magically make it better. This is why they enjoy and love posing, oh, who do you want to run as 2024? Oh, who would you vote for? They love doing that because they don't want to do the actual fucking work to fix our elections. They don't want to do the actual fucking work to actually understand why Julian Assange and why censorship is so important. They don't want to do that because it's so easy to just be like, well, Nina and Bernie and AOC and X person will fix it. No, that's not how it works. Change will not come like that. Change is going to come through fucking direct actions, especially right now when people are so fucking on the brink of losing everything they have. And you need to understand that. And I know because people in the restaurant industry that are working, that are losing everything, are posting on all over their social media now. I have never seen these people so scared. And as somebody that has worked in that industry, I know that at least 60% of the working class, because of the economic destruction led by neoliberalism from Reagan to Bush to Obama, a lot of these people work in the industry and they are hurting. And these people, this is the time to push direct actions. Instead, people want to say, okay, so-and-so is going to save me. Let me just support them.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
David says, keep speaking truth. Support the channel, guys. Thank you, David. And Fred Hampton's Ghost. And listen, Fred Hampton's
Thank you,
Ghost.
guys.
Thank you for the super chat contribution. Thank you for being truthful about Nina. I will go one step further and conclude she made a carefully calculated decision for her career. And it really is so hard to kind of say maybe she did, because why the hell would she do this? Why the hell would she run for the Democratic Party? Why do people have a hard time saying the Democratic Party is no good? The leadership, the establishment, the leadership itself is terrible. You're not going to change them. They are so crooked. They are so freaking crooked. I mean, every single time you look around, they got their hands in the cookie jar. They're worth millions. I mean, look how much money Nancy Pelosi's made over her career. It's just
look
ridiculous.
how much money Rokfin has made over his career.
Ridiculous.
I mean, he's like what we say, half a billionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Silicon Valley. You call him progressive, but you got to look at how much money Silicon Valley gives the guy. Let's be real.
It's tough. Well, I mean, I think Steve Poikonen on the Action for Assange vigil the other day said it best. That seat doesn't belong to Rokfin. That seat belongs to big tech. He's just sitting in it. And I was like, wow.
These are your progressives?
Mind blown.
And that's the thing. Bernie Sanders is the most progressive senator still. He is. I'm not going to deny that. He is. He absolutely is. But you should watch the video I did, because Glenn Greenwald agrees. I mean, the guy went from a freaking 1986 Bernie, like talking about Russia, talking about Cuba, to now whatever happened in between. And I said it in the video. I don't know if he's like Peter Millark, where they're like holding him hostage in the Capitol, and they did this whole thing. But like whatever it is, he's still got to be held accountable to that. He doesn't get away with mocking election fraud when it was done to him twice.
Yeah, well,
he doesn't get away with that.
What's being done right now?
He doesn't get away with that.
And that's the truth about it, is that unfortunately, though, the progressives in Congress and the progressives in the street, they're only really half progressive, because you can't just stand for Medicare for all and a Green New Deal and forget all these other issues ideologically and say you're progressive. I mean, like, I don't.
You can't say you're progressive now, because that word is done.
It's done. They did.
Yeah.
First they killed liberal, fam. Now they killed progressive. What are they going to kill next? Johnny, your thoughts about Nina Turner running as a Democrat? None? No. Johnny's going to pass. Johnny pass. Guys, over on the Rokfin, Jackie McCaffrey is wondering why nobody's there hanging out. There's only 10. Guys, we really need you to get over there. It's important to us that you get over there, sign up for free.
Yeah,
get your free account today. It's so important, because you can see what's going on.
More than ever.
Because this next topic, and thank you, Mohammed Afzal. Thank you so much, Mohammed Afzal, for the super chat contribution. Lucio Zago. Never again
Zago.
will we vote for Democrat. Yes, down ballot. It's true. It's true, man. I can't do it no more. I'm done with it. I'm completely done with the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And I've been an independent, and I've been a Democratic sometimes. I was a Democrat to vote for Bernie Sanders. I was a Democrat to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. My first vote was Ross Perot, just because I wanted to go against the two-party duopoly. But for the most part, I consider myself a leftist, and I still do, because I believe, unlike the Republicans or the conservatives who believe in individual responsibility, I still believe as a humanist that we should take care of people who need help taking care of themselves. Mentally ill people, people who don't have a lot of education, homeless people on the streets. I don't want to leave them out in the cold. So that's why I still consider myself a leftist, but the Democratic Party is just dead, and we need to get around it, get out of it and stuff like that.
Either, so.
I know, right? The leadership is not left. So even though you think that we're leftists and we're progressives, but we're going to join the Democratic Party. No, you're giving power to the people who are working against your very own work.
Chumps.
All right, so let's talk about this. Number 3, the video 3 coming up right now. Google and their fascist attacks on YouTube. Fam, what do you got?
Yeah, so, Google owns YouTube, and they're pretty much showing just how far they're willing to go to grasp hold of power and to censor people in this very fascist way. Now, people said they were mitigating damage when they voted for Joe Biden. And all that I've seen from Joe Biden, and we're going to talk about just exactly how much mitigating damage happened, is that there is the encroaching in the marriage of big tech with our government. And it's bigger than ever. They're more powerful than ever. In fact, that they are so blatantly displaying their power because they have gotten away with censoring the president. They've gotten away with literally shutting down channels. They've gotten away with all of this, and so now they're high on this power, and they're going to continue to do it. So this is what it was Dave Rubin who shared this.
Well, I got yelled at for sharing Dave Rubin's tweet.
Of course, but
why'd you share David Rubin's tweet, Pasta?
I don't like Dave Rubin. I think he's an idiot, but this is what happened, and this is directly affects us because we talk about election fraud, we talk about election integrity. So I know that it's going to affect us. I don't give a crap about Dave Rubin's ideology, but you don't have to like him to know this is wrong. So they said, we just shared an update on YouTube's election efforts, including how we are handling community guidelines pertaining to election-related misinformation. Our policies disallow content alleging that widespread fraud or errors change the outcome of the historical U.S. presidential election. We allow this type of commentary for current elections as election officials work to finalize counts. December 8 was the safe harbor deadline for the U.S. presidential election. States need to resolve contested elections by then, and enough states have now certified their election results to determine a president-elect. As such, starting today, we will remove new content uploaded on or after December 9th, 2020, alleging that widespread fraud or errors changed the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. For example, we will remove videos claiming that a presidential candidate won the election as a result of widespread software glitches or counting errors. This is in line with our approach towards historical U.S. elections. Content that includes sufficient EDSA context may remain on YouTube, similar to how we allowed COVID-19 medical treatment that violates our policies to exist in videos with EDSA content. So I just really quick, and I want to give this to you too, but I just want to say this is like scary. This is
fascism.
This is fascism.
Jesus.
Because who are they to fucking decide what is they deem real and misinformation regarding our elections? Are they election experts? No, they're not. They're a platform. And they're both a platform and a publisher. And that's the whole 230 thing that I talked about in the Tulsi video. That is why I'm so against it. Because you it's not fair. You can't be both a platform and a publisher. Either you're just going to let people publish whatever they want, whether it's a lie or not, okay? Or you're going to dictate what is and what isn't. You can't have both. And they're right now being allowed to have both. They have complete oversight. They have complete overreach to everything that they deem inappropriate. So anything that questions COVID, anything that questions the U.S. elections, you cannot do that. If they were so secure about what was factual, why are they fighting so hard to keep any kind of dissent down? I am seriously asking, like, why are so many people so willing to accept this? Like, how is nobody like freaking the fuck out about this? Like, I'm so sorry
because they're happy with the results.
But like,
they're happy with the results.
But the result, you're not
Trump. It's the bullshit.
But you're not. But he's gone. Let's say he's gone in a month, a little over a month. Let's say he's gone. What are you gonna do when you want to run whoever else for president? What are you gonna do? Do you think this is just gonna stop with Trump? No, it's obviously going to be way beyond Trump. It's going to go directly to the left, you morons. This is like directly going to take down the left. It's been happening to the left. What is wrong with you?
It's already happened to progressives. That's why we didn't start fighting for election integrity because of Donald Trump.
We've been fighting for Bernie.
4 years. We started with the Bernie situation and everything like that. You know, and the first video that we got pulled from this channel right here was our Super Tuesday coverage of what was going on. And I think a lot of it had to do because when we were sitting here, Fam was not only showing the lines and what was going on, we were like, Texas. Remember, we were like, holy cow, so wait a second, something's not kosher here. Our naked eye and our minds are saying, this is not right, and whatnot. And then when we went back and did the math, and you used it again in your last video, fam, you saw it was like, wait, something is not right here. The jumps are just way outloaded. And you can see that something's going on. Why do you think they took it down? Because they know we're smelling something, and that's why they're doing this right now.
Yeah.
How could they even say that they're going to start taking down videos because they've been certified in certain states when there's court cases going around? And now the big one, okay? 17 states now are suing 4 other states, and it's going to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to have to take it up because when it's discrepancies between states, they got to get involved. They are the law of the land. They are what the Constitution is. So right now with that going on, and it's like 1,500 pages, fam, it's all in there. There's video of what went on. There are a lot of irregularities. We should be able to talk about these things. And not for nothing, like you said too, fam, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, it has now become the public square.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the public square. It's where we talk. That's why it needs to be taken over and become a public utility, because it's just disgusting. Because they've hid behind 230. They've acted as a publisher.
How commie of you.
You know what I'm saying? That right? How commie of me. They've taken over. They've taken this 230 and they hid behind it. They've picked winners and losers. They wanted to keep information down. They didn't want anybody knowing about the Hunter Biden and the laptop for hell, so they censored it.
Yep.
They shouldn't be able to do that. Big tech shouldn't, or the government shouldn't decide what is right or wrong. That's for you and I to decide. We choose. Nah, this is bullshit. I don't want to pay attention to it. Hey, I listen to this guy. But for us to sit there and let big tech be able to choose winners and losers, guys, this is fascism right here. This is the real fascism.
Yep. This is the kind of fascism that you don't see because it's not blatant in your face, a Nazi bashing the head of somebody else. But this is the cryptic type of fascism that is Big Brother. It is Brave New World. It is 1984. That's where we're headed here. And unfortunately, a lot of the left has either cheered for it or completely ignored it because it's Trump. But again, I'm telling you, it's not just going to affect Trump. It's affecting us. It already did. The moment, you guys, the moment when Twitter was able to take down links from the New York Post regarding Hunter Biden and Burisma, that should have told you that this was going to happen. The moment Glenn Greenwald had to leave The Intercept because he couldn't do the journalistic integrity of being able to talk about that story, that was a red flag. And this is where it's going. You see, it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse with the Biden administration because they got millions of dollars from big tech. Millions of dollars.
They bought his ass.
Yep.
They bought his ass, and like I said, if you watch those Senate hearings, the Democrats are giddy. They're giddy for more censorship. They're giddy. They want
AOC
more
was
of
arguing
it.
for more censorship.
Dude,
she was arguing
with
Zuckerberg.
With the Zuckerberg. She had Zuckerberg right now, and this is like back then I still had a little faith. I was like, all right, let's go. Go get her. Go get him. Accuse this guy, this asshole, whether it was a security breach, because there were people inside who worked within the company said that Zuckerberg knew, and he sold our information to Cambridge Analytica. Whether it was a security breach or he sold it, his ass should have been grilled. He should have been fined. It should have been taken away from him. But instead, she doubled down after a couple questions, and she went right after the fact that why aren't you taking down more fake news? Why aren't you taking down more of disinformation from the Trump people, the Trumpers? Like, why haven't you taken that stuff down? And the Senate, the Democrat Senate, is just awful. They want more censorship.
Yep.
They want more censorship.
And here's the thing. And even if you fucking disagree with them and you hate them and some
right
of these
here.
people are lying, even if that's true, oh well, they have the right to say it. It's not up for you to decide what fits with your ideology and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. And unless it's actual 100% like Pasta lives at 555 Summit Ave, and like he gets to, and you should go kill him. Like, unless it's that, you shouldn't be persecuted for that.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing. And it's even then, like, you need a trial and you need this and you need lawyers. And I mean, this is the situation we're in, you guys, because too many of us have completely just not cared about this
let's also
issue.
be honest too, fam. The reason why they're able to pull this technique is because progressives fall for the virtue signal.
Yeah.
They fall for the virtue signal. Oh, we got to take Alex Jones down. He's bad. Yeah, let's take him down. He's awful.
Yeah.
Like, no. Wait. Don't you guys understand the can of shit
Let's
worms
cheer that OAN
you were
got
opening
taken
up?
down.
Oh shit, OAN. Let's take them down.
Yeah.
They're awful. And they're like, yeah, they're terrible. They're racist. They're Nazis. And
I
stuff.
could
It's
agree
like,
with you that they're terrible. I could agree with you that I don't like them. But so what? They have the ability to. They have the right to say what they say, and people can decide if what they're saying is bullshit. In fact, I can make a show that opposes everything that they say, and basically argue that way. More speech is the answer to bad speech.
Exactly.
Not less.
Less speech. Exactly. Christopher Dobby, liberal always was, leftists fooled themselves. Yeah, I mean, they've always been that way, the liberals. I remember I called myself liberal. My stepfather called himself, I'm a liberal. And now it's like, whatever. I'm proud to have been kicked off Twitter just for saying mean stuff to Obama. And this is USA is a criminal enterprise. Very proud of the work I think you're just trying to say you all are doing. Just hope people are listening. Listen, that's what we got to keep doing. I've decided for me personally, this kind of what we talked about with the progressives and the people I'm kind of knocking heads with. I've had this attitude recently of been like, I'm done with these people. I can't deal with them no more. They're just a bunch of virtue signaling assholes that don't want to pay attention to foreign policy and civil liberties, and they're never going to get on the game, and they're going to be this way. Instead of running away from them, I'm going to make it a point to continue to talk to them. So yes, I hope people are listening, and all we can do is keep doing these shows and keep truth telling or telling our truth. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who disagree with a lot of the stuff. We say we disagree with each other in certain things, but that's the thing. What you have to do, fam said. The answer to freedom of speech is more speech, not less speech. So we're going to keep doing it, and thank you for supporting us. We got another super chat. Glory Jones.
Jones.
Pasta, hope Tracy's not the only dude who finally getting the white man smoke. Glad to see you better, fam. Glory, I am 66% Southern Italian. I don't know what you're talking about. There was another tip, Johnny. I missed it there. How do I pull it up on? Let me see. Oh, David Guevara. Thank you so much, David. You're awesome for the super chat contribution, guys. We got to call the Rokfin Splash or something with my paisan Michael Castelli. Johnny, you got anything to say about this here right now? John reads all the copyright infringements. He deals with them. He talks about them. John, what do you feel about this personally right now? I mean, I know it's no surprise to you because our first strike, we saw it coming on, but your overall opinion about YouTube blatantly putting this out the way they are.
You've been doing a lot of work, too, on the fraud stuff.
Yeah, not enough people pay attention to it, like you guys said. I mean, it's huge. It's a big deal. I mean, I don't know what to do. We can protest outside of YouTube. I don't know. Well, I'm trying to think of solutions. I always try to think of solutions because
let's try to.
It's not going to happen through Congress. It's not going to happen through Senate or anything like that. Didn't Trump go after Facebook or something? They got sued or something happened.
230 was the thing he was trying to remove.
Or Section 230 for Facebook.
He's threatened to veto the bill.
He's saying he's going to veto it.
He's going to veto it.
Something happened though, right?
Well, I mean, the whole thing
didn't pass. Like he wasn't able to get rid of it.
No, but something recently, like they're getting tried as a monopoly.
Oh yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah.
So I don't know, but. I mean, if Biden's in, I don't think anything's going to change. It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. Yeah, it's going to get worse. I'm very interested to see what they'll do as far as going after, like, now they'll put, like, Rokfin and Odyssey and all these other, BitChute and all these other ones. They're going to put them on the chopping block and say that these channels must be taken down. And if you control the keys to the kingdom, they can be throttled like crazy. We're talking about going to a safe haven. They're going to come after us in the mountain.
Right. So Rokfin, you guys, part of the solution is to divest also into Rokfin and other platforms where you don't have this fascistic control. But trust me, they're going to try to go after them too. So people need to pay attention and start thinking of ways to oppose the security state, because we haven't opposed the security state in this country. Progressives haven't opposed the security state. Bernie Sanders hasn't opposed the security state, not for a very, very long time, if ever. Yeah. And like that's the thing. Like that's what is the deep state is what controls. That's what I talked about in the last video. That is it's real. It's not some right wing made up word. This is like, I told Pasta, like, you need to define it because some people still don't know what it means, but it's been an issue for a very long time. And that is what moves this country. This is what people don't want to know. That's what decides elections. That's what overthrows governments all over the world. That is what goes and extracts resources from, Bolivia. Like that's what is going on here. That's who assassinated the Kennedys. I mean, this is real. The deep state is real. And this is big tech has become a huge component of it, to where you can't even say anything about the hint and that there was election fraud in this general. And Johnny was covering a lot of actual things on the ground. And is that also in danger, even though it's not about the national election, even though it's about the California election? Are they just going to put it all together? I don't know. Yeah. That's scary.
And the Democratic Party is behind this stuff. The leadership, that is. Yep. They white this stuff. Like I said, you watch those Senate hearings, they're giddy for it. And it's disgusting, because if these are the people who are going to make our laws and run our country, they're just going to shut you up and silence you if you disagree with them, and continue to go on with their globalist, freaking imperialistic. I mean, Anthony Blinken, for crying out loud.
Blinken.
Jesus
No, and
Christ.
Now the other guy from Raytheon.
Yeah, the other well, speaking of the other douche, oh, God. Robbie Jagger, not too long ago. Somebody had mentioned to me, like, they put this list of independent media people, and we were all on this list and whatnot. Yeah. And I put, you got to add Robbie Jagger to this list, because a guy who brings the receipts is so valuable. And Robbie put this up here, fam. What do you got?
So he put that the defense company stocks have been on the rise since election day. Look at Boeing, plus 78.41, Raytheon 15.50, and you can see the 27%. Honeywell 33.03, 18%. Leidos 16.15, 18%. And then he has all the receipts here. You can see that they've gone up. Boeing. You can see the next one is Raytheon. And then the one after that is Honeywell. And you can see how they've actually gone up since election day.
Because they got their guy.
Because they got
their guy.
You
Can you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen?
No.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, Donald Trump's the evil man, orange man bad, the clown. Why are the defense contractings going up through the roof? And then Donald Trump is trying to make this one last Hail Mary push to get people out of Afghanistan, Syria, the whole 9 yards. I mean, a lot of people criticized him, and they said he was very much a warmonger, just like the people before him, but he didn't start any new wars. I mean, Bolivia, we have to kind of look and see what did he know, what he didn't know, but once again, he didn't go bombing like crazy like Obama did.
I mean, he had coup attempts. I mean, I'm not going to say he was the anti-interventionist, right? He wasn't the anti-interventionist, but he didn't go and pull in Obama, and a lot of people don't want to hear that, and people act like he was the most dangerous president. What about Bush? Like, people forget about Bush, and Bush was a Republican. This isn't about defending Republicans. I'm telling you, Bush was 10,000 times worse of a president for not just for us, but for people in the Middle East. They'll tell you that too.
Yeah. Bush was one of the worst presidents of all time.
Of all time.
He was one of the worst, and he was in our time. So when people start saying, oh, Donald Trump is awful, I'm like, he was the worst president of all time. I'm like, George Bush,
president of all
George
time.
Bush. I mean, Kanye West. Remember when he said George Bush doesn't like black people? He didn't. George Bush was awful to anybody who wasn't a Republican. And then Republican Party at that time did not have a lot of people of color in it. More people of color voted for Donald Trump over George Bush. Just think about that, ladies and gentlemen, because of the policies. Bush was awful. He opened up a can of shitworms in the Middle East, and then Obama came right in and continued to do it. What did he do? He did it with drone warfare, which kills more innocent people than anything. I mean, just disgusting. Mark Peterson, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. What a day. YouTube censorship and CNN saying we don't need a stimulus check. what would the hell be's gonna happen to what the hell be's is gonna happen tomorrow?
Pasta, you really think that black people voted for Trump because of his policies?
Yeah.
I think it's more like because he was like a showmanship or a showman or whatever.
He was more of an anti-globalist.
I mean, he wasn't like a typical Republican.
At all.
I mean, I think that's probably it. It's not because of his policies, though.
I mean...
Because we've asked black people at the Trump rallies here, you asked them, and they don't know anything about the policy.
Some of the policies they don't know about. I think the fact that he was an anti-globalist, more of mentality, that he did say that he tried to bring a lot of jobs home. He tried to punish China.
But he hasn't really been really committed to any of his policies. We can say that. Right?
I don't know. You want to say the First Step Back was not committed? It wasn't signed into office and stuff? I remember Van Jones crying about it and saying we have a Christmas gift because that policy alone sent people home from prison the next day. Whereas when you have the crime bill, the 1994 crime bill, it took away grants and other things from people who were trying to make a living. So I think when people do put those policies next to each other, they're going to say, okay, maybe Donald Trump is not as bad as the media is making him out to be. I don't believe he was the most racist, sexist president of all times. I believe the policies of the Bushes, of the Obamas, of the Clintons, they were way worse to people, working people across the board. They were globalists who sent our jobs overseas, and that affected a lot of people of color, like in Milwaukee, in the Midwest, and whatnot, and they see that for what it is. Does that mean he's their champion? Not by any means. No. But if you kind of measure up policies for policies, I'm so sorry. I think that Donald Trump is not as bad as those establishment people on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's not, that it's not as good or as bad or whatever. All I'm saying is that, pretty much all these presidents are fucking terrible, basically. And Trump is bad as well, But
I don't think Trump was a good president by any means, but I think he was.
I'm not gonna put him up on
I'm not saying that whatsoever. See, because Donald Trump is the same as a lot of Republicans. It's individual responsibility. He takes care of people who could take care of themselves. He always talks about the stock market, and that's the shit that pisses me off, because we have so many people on the street, whether we like it or not. The homeless number continued to grow on Donald Trump. So I don't care what happened in the goddamn stock market. I care about those people who are on the street. Yeah. Did he cause the problem and create the problem? No. Did he exacerbate it? Yes, because he didn't make moves to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He could have taken. He could right now pardon Julian Assange. He could right now go and give us Medicare for all too. Like he could push for these things. He's not doing it. I don't think anybody here is saying that he is a great president. But when you're constantly told, when Bernie Sanders constantly gets on the pulpit and says Donald Trump is the most dangerous, sexist, racist president in modern history, it's hypocritical because we lived through the Bush years. I mean, you were younger, but I mean, I was young too, but I know that
they're all warmongers.
They're all
Trump was
warmongers,
less
but
of a warmonger.
he's less of a warmonger, and I think that's why they're trying to get rid of him too. Because I'm not saying he's anti-war, but he's definitely not as much of a hawk as they wanted him to be, and that is tells you something that how fucked up our country is to the point where they're making Donald Trump look like less hawkish than even though he's not hawkish, even though, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so bad, like what this country is at.
But I was going to make the claim black people voted for Trump because of his policies. We don't know. We don't know why they voted for Trump.
Well, no, I'm saying the Biden.
It's not a fact, you know. You can only say the fact that more black people voted for Trump
because of the Biden policies and the establishment policies, because it's known that the Biden's establishment. We also talk about like punishing poor people,
but that's making an assumption though. We don't know that.
Well, you don't know why they voted for Trump, but you do know what we do know that they did.
It is a fact that more black people.
Exactly. That's all I'm pointing out.
But you said it was because of policy. So
I'm saying because of Biden's policies, because they understand Biden's policies.
But we don't know that.
But
well, we don't know that technically.
We can make
we don't know that. You can make an argument, but we don't know that. You can make an argument and
make an opinion, but he did. But we do know this, that Biden's policies, when it came to the crime bill, was awful for poor and people of color. It punished it. When it came to the bankruptcy bills, it was awful for poor people.
We're still
trying to get out. He made it harder for poor people to go out and declare bankruptcy to get out of the hole. And that was Biden. Biden's policies of war were going around bombing indigenous people in their homeland left and right.
I will say that people do know, people on the right, on the Republican side, did use those attacks about the crime bill against Joe Biden. Yeah. So I do think like some people who did vote for Trump did know that. But I can't say 100% for a certainty. I mean, I wouldn't say that 100% certainty. But I definitely think like Joe Biden's record, because if there's one thing about the right is that they do look at these Democrats as records so they can like go after them. And that's a lot of the times. And when you ask a liberal why they're voting for Kamala Harris, they don't look at her record. They just look at her rhetoric. And that is something that is true when it comes to the voting contingents on the parties. The liberals don't really care about policy. A lot of them, they care about the platitudes and the rhetorics and the emotions behind it. This is why elements of the progressive movement are so easily manipulated with that. And I'm not saying that elements on the right aren't either, because they are. I mean, they're manipulated by Trump's rhetoric that says, the immigrants, and says all this crap. People in general are manipulated by emotions, but like when it comes to looking at like numbers and stuff, people on the right tend to do that more than the Democrats contingent.
Christopher Dobby on the super chat, not the super Ray, tipped us $2. Thank you so much. My pleasure. You keep nurturing society. You have my full support, and thank you so much, Dobby, for that full support. We do appreciate it, and we need all your support out there, ladies and gentlemen. People on that YouTube, there's a lot of you right now. Get over to the Rokfin, sign up for free, get an account going, and if you have a few extra bucks for $9.99 a month, you can endorse us. You get everybody's ends premium content across the board. I'm going to be actually doing a video later on with Tim Canova, and I will be putting it up on Rokfin only. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to get us pulled and yanked off YouTube. So we'll be talking about the lawsuit where now 17 states have got behind Texas to sue 4 other states, saying they ran an unlawful election, therefore it had national effect, and therefore they want them thrown out. They either want at the end game, we don't know what it is. We'll talk about it with Tim Canova. We're going to do a show about that. But let's talk about your favorite person, Neera Tanden.
Yeah, she's my best friend, Neera, and also my other best friend, Elizabeth Warren, who literally got nothing out of it, right? She said, I had a great discussion with Neera Tanden today about how the Office of Management and Budget can help working families and strengthen our economy. Neera has exceptional management experience and vast budget and policy expertise to help make this government work for the people. I said it in the video yesterday. Neera Tanden is the direct opposition has been to the progressive movement. She literally called Bernie Sanders supporters, insulted them, toxic Bernie bros. She was so vile to them and to Sanders. And now Sanders would be, depending on the runoff in Georgia, likely the chairman of the budget committee, or if not a high-ranking member. And he would be in direct opposition to Neera Tanden, and he would have to work with her. And this is why it irks me that he hasn't said anything against her, right? And then you have Elizabeth Warren, the champion of progressivism in 2015, who a lot of us Sanders supporters wanted her to run for VP with Bernie Sanders. And she's over here congratulating Neera Tanden, giving her accolades, talking about how amazing she is. And she literally sold out, Elizabeth Warren, right? Hardcore sold out, was getting all this money. And, Emma Vigilant didn't want to admit it. And she called me left QAnon for listing all the things that was going on, and we got a lot of crap. I remember when we were like, no, stay away from Neera Tanden, from Elizabeth Warren. Bernie, don't go with her. A lot of the progressives on the Bernie end were like, no, Bernie and Warren, and we were like, no, she's bad. Well, she stayed in the race far longer to make sure Bernie didn't get the votes he needed to get. She was instrumental in taking him down, and there she is giving accolades to Neera Tanden, and there she is. What did she get out of it? She got nothing. She's got absolutely nothing out of it, and it's kind of a sweet deal for me to see her get nothing, but at the same time, it's just like disgusting to see just like what she's become, because she wasn't always like that bad. Like, she was, I'm not saying she was like, anti-establishment 100%, but she was definitely not as much of a
dark
spineless
money though, fam, when you called it out and stuff, and then she continued to stay in the race when she had no chance to take away votes from Bernie Sanders, whatnot, and then let Donald Trump use that as a whistling call. If Pocahontas would have dropped out a couple weeks ago, Joe, you wouldn't have won. Like, he's saying stuff, and it was just like hitting us in the side, being like, yes, why the hell did Elizabeth Warren even continue to stay in this race? And why didn't she get out of the way? A lot of people thought she was there to sabotage Bernie, and I can't even argue that. Sherry McCrae says, love you guys. I'll look for you on Rokfin. Thank you for the super chat contribution. And Becca C, here's a good one for you, fam. Susan Rice was named to Biden to be named by Biden to be in his cabinet today. Cracky. Was she really? Oh my Lord. Another one. And Susan Rice's opinions about Julian Assange are awful. Susan Rice is just a warmongering Obama. Oh my God. David Turner, Google is using deceptive clause for election strikes. I guess she's talking about the thing in India, which they were suppressing as well. What about saying the world was made in 7 days? JFK, UFOs. It affects a ton of content. It's going to be interesting to see what they do and how they do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out in that Rokfin. Fam, now that we're done with Neera and there, what about your boy Mayor Pete?
Yeah, so, you've seen the wonderful people that Biden is lining up for his cabinet positions, Raytheon, Boeing, lobbyists from Wall Street, Ronald Klain, all of these people, Avril Haines, Miss Drone Strike herself. You see them. And then, of course, he's considering of getting a position for Mayor Pete as an ambassador to China. And so Joe Biden is possibly going to send him to China to handle ambassadorship. And of course, Mayor Pete ran for president. He was the South Bend, Indiana mayor who received a lot of flack for his racially blind, to say the nicest possible way, policies, and his policies against homeless people too, and taking away people's homes, etc. And this is, of course, we knew that Buttigieg was going to get something out of this, because we knew they were propping him up way too much. He's a CIA guy. He worked for McKinsey. He's this vile type of really consultant type of deep state type of guy. He's perfect for the Biden administration. I mean, he was made for this, fam. He was made for this.
How about the time when Swalwell, we're going to get to Swalwell, called him out for not firing? Why didn't you fire the chief? You fired the black chief, but you didn't fire the white chief.
Right.
Like, he called him out right there. It was like, wow, this is good. There's a little, it was like one of those, like, those slappy fights where you just go like this and you start slapping each other. It was Buttigieg and Swalwell. It was just pretty funny when they were doing that. So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't surprise me, this move, at all,
Yeah. And
so now we're talking about the Democratic Party, the corrupt, awful leadership of the Democratic Party, who doesn't give a damn and will sell you out down the river, fam. What do you
Verizon
got?
5G is
So, companies that were part of a group that was funded by Governor Newsom, gave money. He gave them. They got $3 million from PPP loans. So what it seems is that Newsom is giving his friends money, and everybody else can just go eat a bag of Richards.
Yeah.
So at least 8 companies partially owned by Newsom have collectively received millions of dollars from the PPP program. And this is according to ABC. While the data released by the Small Business Administration this year showed that Plumpjack Group received up to $350,000 worth of PPP loans, newly released data by the SBA indicated Plumpjack businesses, including wineries, bars, and restaurants, received more than 8 times that amount at nearly $3 million altogether. And of course, in 2018, this is when Newsom placed his interest in this group into a blind trust. That means he would have no knowledge or role in the company business decisions made during his time in office, accordingly. But you guys can go down and you can see the money. There's a list right here with all the money that was given with Plumpjack businesses and the PPP loans. And yeah, there you go.
They don't care. They'll take money, they'll line their own pockets, and they'll let you eat a bag of Richards, right? I mean, they're sitting there. I mean, he didn't give us the extra money when we were getting the $300 from the executive order. And now, you know, what are we getting now? We're going to get another extra $300 a week for California? Jesus Christmas, we're going to run out of money.
I don't even know if that's happening because now we're going to have to talk about that on the next show, but it's like a $600 check is all they're doing.
They're ridiculous. And Nancy Pelosi was willing to say, I don't want to give Donald Trump a victory beforehand, so she's going to withhold it and wait until after. And then she tells people to shut up when they start questioning her. Now we're getting half of what we should have gotten from a proper stimulus. It's a fail across the board of government on every single level, the way they handle this COVID. Not just the health reasons, okay, but the economic reasons more than anything. There's a lot of people killing themselves. They're losing everything. They find no way out, and their businesses are being suppressed. It's disgusting because I don't know what's going to come of this. The only thing that's going to really be growing is what? These major corporations like Amazon and Bezos and all these people making money, but everybody else, small businesses, they'll go away. You got to close down.
I just want to read real quick what this woman said. She said, I think it's heartbreaking. We see huge discrepancies between small businesses and the kind of loans they got and their ability to get loans in larger companies that are well-resourced and well-staffed and had strong relationships with their banks. So again, like you guys, like the fact that it depends on who your connections are and it depends on how well financed you are. Obviously, you're going to be better off if you're more a corporation than a small businesses. And it's unfortunate because the small mom and pop places are the ones that a lot of us, especially progressives or people who want to support these independent businesses, want to support. It's like us. It's like, you know, it's like fighting. It's like CNN getting a PPP loan instead of the Convo Couch. Like imagine that. That's like the monster of what's happening here, and like it's just giving more power to the elites, to the 1%, more power to these corporations that already own so much of our government. And people like Newsom, a Democratic governor, are doing this. And this is exactly why I argue with people who think that voting for a Democrat is going to solve their problems. I live in a Democratic supermajority where everybody's a fucking Democrat. And it is awful the way they've handled this pandemic. It is absolutely disgusting the way they have shut restaurants down. The infections that happen aren't happening in restaurants. They're happening in people's homes, when people go see other people at homes, when people go and get together outside of a restaurant. The infection rate isn't coming from restaurants. It's not even coming from stores. They're shutting these places down, these nail salons, these hair up places, these restaurants that people have put in all their work so hard for their whole life to get their businesses. They enjoy doing what they do. And these people, like Pasta said, are losing everything. And not only are these people, business owners, losing everything, the people they employ, who are primarily artists, because the people who work in Los Angeles as the servers and bartenders, they're artists. They have other aspirations. They do other things, and they're getting screwed up the wazoo. And I was talking to somebody yesterday too. Like, they have lost so much in New York too with this. And of course, Cuomo is another one. He's awful. He's worse than Newsom, I think, likely. But they're both just awful, and they're both Democrats. These are the kind of policies these Democrats want. Mask mandate, okay, fine. Then, but aren't you going to help people? Aren't you going to give them some sort of help? Newsom could very well give us money, knowing how high the rents are here, knowing how people aren't paying their rent. Instead, he's giving it to his friends. It's disgusting.
That's
and this is Democrats.
Yeah.
You want me to continue voting for people like this?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
You got Nancy Pelosi, whose district has so many homeless people. Same with Mayor Garcetti over here. These are hardcore elitist Democrats that will sell you out down the road. Look at the homelessness in their areas, and they haven't even. There's been money allotted. They couldn't even get these people to get them off the streets. They can't even get these people off the streets. The Democratic Party, to me, is dead. They need to be done with. I can't stand them. Now we got this other little weasel over here, okay? And I'm going to explain something to you, because it's not the situation that's happened. It's this donkey's rhetoric, okay? Eric Swalwell, okay? Russiagate, Eric Swalwell, who's just like Ted Lieu, who wouldn't shut up about the whole Russiagate conspiracy. Alleged Chinese spy got so close to Democratic Eric Swalwell that they alarmed the FBI and they had to intervene. Now, I want to make this clear right now. So there was supposedly no secrets or what's the word I'm looking for? Classified information that she got and whatnot. But what she did gain was access. She kept bringing him donors. He kept on introducing to other people, other Democrats, and they were so alarmed they had to go to him and say, "Hey, yo, there's a problem over here, whatnot." Now she's back in China. Okay, her name is Christine Fang. But it was very, very alarming. And the thing that really bothers me about this, fam, is that Eric Swalwell, over everybody, had this, he wouldn't get off of Donald Trump Jr.'s ass about Donald Trump Jr. and the Trump Tower. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi knew about this for a while, and they never pulled him off his committees. And he was part of the Intel committee. But he still kept his job and thing went on. And you can see, I put a little clip over here. For 4 straight years, this was Swalwell's friggin' attitude in his language.
Well, I think we've all gotten a PhD in Russian studies that none of us signed up for. But stated plainly, the president's son met with a Russian spy. We now have the best evidence of that. In our minority report, the Democrats put out that Miss Veselnitskaya was going all over the world and bumping into Dana Rohrabacher, which is a sign of a spy, someone who tries to create, a coincidence encounter. And now we know that she was working at the behest of the Russian government. The president's son, Nicole, met with a Russian spy, but also at that meeting was Paul Manafort. So Paul Manafort knows he's in a meeting where he knows the premise is dirt is being offered on the campaign's opponent, and he has this side relationship with a former GRU officer, a Russian military officer, and now we know is sharing internal campaign polling data. So you see from all individuals here, from the president's son to his son-in-law to his campaign chairman, an eagerness and a willingness to work with the Russians. What that materialized to, I think at this point only special counsel knows, but thankfully Democrats on the Intelligence Committee in very short order are going to be in a position to understand.
This freaking donkey went over there. Remember that whole meeting? The whole oh my God, this is the smoking gun. They kind of lured Trump Jr. and the team to this hotel room saying, "Hey, we got opposition research for you. We're going to give it to you." They got up there. It was a big nothing burger. They walked away from the whole situation. And the Democrats, especially Swalwell, tried to take this meeting and say he was meeting with Russian spies. He was meeting with spies. He was meeting spies. Meanwhile, this donkey was sleeping with one. You know what I'm saying? Just ridiculous. And these are the things that made me think it was why are they sitting there they're calling Rohrabacher a Russian spy and all these things? It was they had shit going on themselves. So maybe it was a distraction.
Right.
Who knows? But I mean, how the hell can you sit there and say all this stuff, lead the public down this whole hysteria about this Russian, this McCarthyism. Meanwhile, look at the bed you're sleeping in, pal. So this was pretty funny, and people are now calling this saying, why isn't he removed from the committee? Nancy Pelosi knew about this stuff, didn't remove him from the committee. He's still on the Intel committee. I don't know, fam. Your thoughts, should he be thrown out of Congress? I don't know.
What they should, what they can't impeach him, but they should. It's just funny to me, like the double standard that Democrats have,
Terrible.
right? Like if you're gonna be like that about that, be like that across the board. But they're not, because they're hypocrites. I mean, that's all that's left to say about that.
All right. Tulsi Gabbard, today I introduced, this was yesterday, about 21 hours ago, the Break Up Big Tech Act with Representative Gosar, a Republican, to remove Section 230 immunity from tech companies who act like publishers, censoring and manipulating users, treating us and our attention like products to make their billions. Now, fam, this is something that we continually have to talk about a little bit more. Ron Placone even talks about removing 230 would be an awful thing, because now they just would not allow certain people to go up on their platforms because they're in fear of getting sued. 230 protected these companies. It gave them immunity from getting sued from anybody putting up stuff on their platforms. But that was the deal. They had to act as a platform.
Right.
They didn't. They acted like publishers. Right. So is this the proper thing to do, to just yank it like Donald Trump says, like Tulsi says, like Rand Paul says and stuff?
I agree with them on this, because I think that, I don't know who's been saying that it's small businesses are going to be hurt by the removal of 230. A lot of progressives have been saying that, and I 100% disagree, because if you are a small entity, as long as you don't act like like YouTube is doing, where they're a publisher and also a platform, you'll be fine. You'll still be protected. Now, that has to be reinforced, right? But nothing in there says that you won't be protected by that. You just have to. You cannot be both, and that's what this is attacking. The fact that YouTube, Google, Twitter, Facebook have the ability to be both. As long as you decide that you are a platform, that's fine, or a publisher, but you cannot be both. And that's all that's simply up for play here. But for some reason, it's getting twisted as like, oh, well, everybody's going to get sued now because they're not going to be protected. No, that's just the spin doctoring that's happening. So, because people don't understand that it is about free speech. It is, but you're not increasing free speech by keeping 230. You're actually increasing the power hold that these companies, big tech, have over us. Yeah. That they're able to do this and say, you can't say anything about the election. You can't say anything about COVID. That's what Tulsi Gabbard is going after, and that's why I think it's so important. I am 100% on board with her, and if I happen to agree with Trump, oh well, because I can discern the difference between me not liking him and me saying, okay, well, he's right on this. I do agree that there has to be a specific clause that says, okay, these businesses that are operating like, like let's say they're a blog, right? Like you have a Medium. And those people shouldn't be held liable for somebody saying a lie or somebody saying something awful. They shouldn't be held liable because they're just a blog. But Facebook doesn't get to be both a blog and a platform that dictates what you can or cannot say. See, that's different, and that's a difference that people need to specify.
They have hid behind 230. Now, I grabbed a clip over here from David J. Harris Jr., who wants to keep 230, and he's a big Trumper, right? This guy loves Donald Trump. I think he's been on Dan Bongino, that other dude's show. But listen to what he has to say, because this is a great clip over here, because I've always said its fact is that, okay, 230 is there, but this doesn't give the right for big tech to break antitrust laws, which say they must abide by being a platform and not pick winners and losers, because when you do pick winners and losers, you automatically become a publisher.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a problem right here, but this is from people on the right who want to necessarily keep 230, but yet they understand what's going on, and they want to work the magic within the Supreme Court rather than just eliminate it altogether. So here is David J. Harris Jr. Let's take a listen.
Repeal Section 230. Eliminate Section 230. Our president, amazing President Donald J. Trump, is asking to get rid of Section 230 of the Communications and Decency Act. The problem is that would be horrendous. Even my good friend Dan Bongino agrees with me on this. Section 230 doesn't need to be eliminated. It needs to be reformed. It needs to be understood, and it needs to be clarified. Big Tech has been using Section 230 to hide behind, pretty much doing whatever they want to whoever they want. And I should know, Facebook has been lowering my reach and taking followers from me daily. Now Instagram is doing it as well. Well, my good friend, Jason Fick, he's been on the trail suing Facebook. They took over 12 million followers from him over content, and then when he sold his pages to a competitor, they re-uploaded the exact same content on those pages. Jason understands exactly what needs to be done. His case that now has a docket at the Supreme Court just needs to be heard. Lindsey Graham, President Donald Trump, we don't need to repeal 230. The Supreme Court needs to rule on Jason Fick's case, which clearly outlines what Big Tech should and should not be able to do. Justice Clarence Thomas even agrees with Jason in an opinion piece Justice Thomas wrote about a different case. Justice Clarence Thomas actually stated that if a case had everything that Jason's case had in it, that the Supreme Court should hear it and render a decision on how Section 230 should be applied.
My name is Jason Fick. I read the president's tweet tonight about eliminating Section 230, and I felt compelled to make this short video for you. He talks about repealing, terminating, or eliminating Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. I have been a Trump supporter from the very get-go, and I have to disagree wholeheartedly. This is fundamentally wrong. Section 230 can't be eliminated because it would absolutely destroy the internet. It doesn't matter about politics. It simply would destroy every single website. The reason being is because every website would therefore then be liable for absolutely everything that was posted on them. Any action that they took at all, they would be liable for. It would be a mess. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I have spent the better part of 4 years working on the interpretation of Section 230, and I figured out where the problem started. Now, a quick and easy understanding is it was a textual misinterpretation by the California courts. They misunderstood that when you can't treat them as the publisher or speaker of the content of another, they took that to mean being treated as a publisher or the content of another. Now, Justice Clarence Thomas understood this in his October 13th denial of certiorari. He rendered a statement that was relatively unprecedented, and he talked about this exact issue as being the primary and the secondary publisher. Now, I'm not going to go into the legalese of the whole thing, but we are actually at the Supreme Court. It's docket number 20-632, and the Supreme Court welcomed an appropriate case on Section 230. We're right there. This would fix Section 230. It would make it operate correctly and bring it back to its modest interpretation and its modest immunity.
Today, the FTC and 48 state attorney generals.
So pretty much this is just another way of looking at things, saying, looking at the fact that anybody can be held accountable for putting on something now that it might ruin the internet. I don't know if it will necessarily crash it, but it has been pointed out they've been hiding behind this section. It hasn't been clear, Section 230, and it really hasn't been. They haven't upheld the law. You know what I'm saying?
So what's the good of keeping it if it hasn't worked? I mean, I think for me, it's like, if you're going to reform it to the point where it's no longer that, then you might as well make a new one. I'm not saying you don't put the protections in there for everywhere else. I'm saying that the way it is now is allowing Facebook and Google and all these things to really do that. So for me, I'm with Tulsi. Like, I think, I agree. It needs to, for me, it's like, if you're basically redoing it, you're not going to keep those protections in there, but you are going to specify directly 100%. This is for, this is exactly, you're going to be a publisher or you're going to be a platform. You can't be both. So they don't continue to abuse the way they're abusing, because what's happening right now is disastrous and it's awful. And I don't have to agree with them to say that they have the right to say whatever it is that they want to say. And that's that, and it's interesting that they're I understand that why they don't want to just remove it. But at the same time, it's like, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have anything new in there to take its place, is what I'm saying.
It's definitely an area we have to look upon and to see what's going on. I mean, once again, I thought if we make these big tech companies identify why they're removing us or putting a strike on us, and they have to be open about that, not just do it in the back door, like a back room, like a dark CIA room where they can just take you down, not explain it, not put it out there. If they have to explain why, and they can be held liable for taking you down if they unjustly took you down. Like, in other words, okay, you took me down, I can sue you now because you set a standard and you held me to a different standard than CNN or MSNBC. Therefore, it would be more up in the open, and we would understand it more. But a lot does remain to be seen. I just want to show different sides of the situation, what's going on. Rocky Bellinger, he left a Super Ray over on Rokfin over there. ROKFIN. Get over there. Aloha, fams. Did the fams watch the video on Professor Di Dongsheng, Vice Dean of the School of International Relationships at Renmin University, China, yet? If so, what do you think, fams? Mahalo. We love you. I haven't looked at it yet. I'd like to see it right now. I've been watching a lot of videos as of late. I tell you that much with the Rona. So there's a lot of things I like to look at. So I'll take a look at it. Thank you, Rocky Bellinger, one of our favorite people from a long time. Always hung with us. We love you. Salud, que fai, aloha, all the good words of love in Italian and Hawaiian for you right there. Cronyism is just as rife in the UK government in plain sight. That says Janine Jackson. Thank you for the super chat contribution, Janine.
That's what I hear.
Jean-Ann?
Yeah, UK has the CCTV and Big Brother situation too, like massive. I mean, London is like the most watched city in the world. Not a fan of that.
Let's get out of here with the last one. I think Johnny should also talk about this too as well. I want to mention our good friend Jimmy Rogowski. It's kind of funny because we didn't talk about, we were talking about the whole Nina Turner thing. I should have kind of mentioned that Rogowski also talks about, like, he does a lot of work on Medicare. Third parties, Medicare for all, the medical system itself. But he really turned us on to, I think that's something that made this whole process a lot easier. Ivermectin, Johnny, talk about the complete guide to health. This is Goose's section.
All right, so let's just say a couple things. First of all, let's just talk about our COVID experience here. Okay, so let's say, okay, so Fee, you got sick first, right? You started feeling a headache. That's how it felt. I want to inform our viewers about what we felt and what we took and what we evaluated. Who we talked to and doctors like that. So you were feeling a headache first, right? And that's how it
I felt a headache, and then I never get headaches. Me
neither. You've had like what, one or two in your life?
This is maybe my second time in my life, if that. I started feeling body aches, and I just felt like somebody had like mangled my body, like somebody had beat me up.
No, it was terrible. So then I was the next to fall, and I felt the headaches. The body aches was bad. The fever was high. It was like 99, and then 100.4 up to 102. I hit. I was constantly on the temperature. And then Pasta was next after that. Yeah. Before Pasta got sick, I went and got tested. And in LA, they have free testing if you have no insurance, or if you have insurance, they don't charge you a copay or anything. Your insurance just pays for it, and then they get money back for it. So I went up to Altadena, which is close to Pasadena, a church, and there's lines. There was a huge line. There was it was a big line of like, maybe it was like an hour long line, but it'd stay like that the whole day, So I was like, okay, I'll come back the next day. And it's hard to sign up. It's hard to get the test. Basically, the test, it wasn't up the nose for mine. It was a mouth swab in and around the mouth. You're supposed to cough like 3 times, and then you it was weird. It was at this church, and it was outside the building, and they put me to like a corner, and they're like, here, take this little swab, and before you put it in your mouth, cough 3 times loudly and deeply, and then just put it in your mouth, and all around the gums, under your tongue, everything like that. And then you put it in a bag, and then you put it in this basket. So I got my results back. I tested positive first, and I think we all have now tested positive.
I haven't gotten my results back. Pasta and I took the test on the same time. I just haven't gotten mine back yet. But he tested positive. He tested positive. I will likely test positive. I would be surprised if I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so around, let's see, after 5 days, body aches were done. I still had a fever. I still kind of had a headache, and then I started to lose taste. And then when Pasta was trying to get a test, that's when we were able to acquire some ivermectin from a friend, and so it was just ivermectin along with what else? It was liposomal.
Vitamin C,
Vitamin C.
liposomal vitamin C, because supposedly that lets you take an extensive amount of vitamin C, but it doesn't mess with your digestive system and won't, like, because if you took 5 grams of vitamin C with just regular powder, it's going to mess up your stomach.
Right.
You're going to throw up or whatnot.
Too much vitamin C.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention that when I got my results back for positive, I immediately booked a teledoc appointment, which was like $45 or something. Mm-hmm. For anybody who wants to know what they tell you here on teledoc and pretty much any doctor in the United States, except for a select few, what they're going to tell you is to get acetaminophen, what is it?
Ibuprofen.
That's a fever reducer. Yeah. Ibuprofen for pain relief, and then what was it? Benzoate for cough.
Yeah.
And that's all they give you, and they tell you to just quarantine.
Yep.
And that's all the doctor tells you to do.
That's all they give you.
Nothing about vitamin C, nothing about zinc, nothing about anything else. That's all they told me. Now, for people who haven't seen the show, we had a show with James Roguski, who is the owner of this website, and the website's called thecompleteguidetohealth.com. And basically, he goes to talk about how doctors and governments around the world are using ivermectin along with acetaminophen and something else for COVID treatment. And we did a show about it. I was skeptical. We were all skeptical up until we got sick.
Yeah.
And then also, to tell you a little personal thing is that my uncle in Peru, actually, they gave him that treatment. They gave him ivermectin with acetaminophen and the other thing, which is acetaminophen is antibiotics, mm-hmm. and then the other thing was something for if you had a shortness of breath. Mm-hmm. So I believe it was something to stop that.
Oh yeah, we also got the oxygen meter, which is very important in monitoring your oxygen level. It can't fall below 94. The lowest mine has been is 96, 95, I think. And I think myself, more than Pasta and Jonny, have a cough. And my background is, like 10 years ago, I used to get really bad coughs. I got pneumonia all the time. And eventually I got a Z-Pack. I got and I developed asthma from the pneumonia. So I got an inhaler, and then I took that, and I think, and this is when I told you, Pasta, that they gave me hydroxychloroquine, they gave me Tamiflu, and I hadn't been sick since. So it's over 10 years ago. So that has happened. This is the cough that I have now reminds me of the cough I had then, which is weird because it was pneumonia. I don't know if I have pneumonia or not, but it's a cough that's dry and it's bad, and I feel like I'm gonna cough up my lung. It's annoying. I hate it. But it's interesting that back then they gave me different things. They gave me an inhaler, and that I don't think if I went to the doctor now they would give me anything, because they'd be like, oh, you have COVID, so just let it run through your system. But for me, the cough has affected me more, I think, than both of them.
Yeah. For me, it was chest pains that really scared me a little bit. Obviously, when we went go for the test and right around the corner, we couldn't get in. They're like, we can't get you an appointment until Tuesday, and this was on a Thursday, I think we were going. Or was it a Friday or something? Yeah. And we went to another spot. Nobody was there. The van was gone. So then I went over to Dodger Stadium, tried to get in that way. The lines were ridiculous. I waited for an hour, and I'm like, do you have an appointment? I'm like, no. And I tried to do the sneaky thing where you try to sign up for an appointment as you're in line. It wouldn't let me. It said there was no slots available, and they're like, we can't give you a test right now. I'm like, please, I feel awful. They're like, well, maybe you should go to the hospital. But instead of going to the hospital, I made the call to Roguski. I said, Goose, I said, we got this thing here. We need help. And he gave me the ivermectin and some things. So.
Yeah. I want to make clear that people know that there was, the lines to get tested everywhere was full in Los Angeles. So that's a fact.
That is a fact.
I mean, it was ridiculous at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous everywhere.
Like, I wanted to film stuff, but I was, like, so exhausted with the COVID, right?
Yeah,
But,
and they're claiming that all the ICUs here are full, but I wanted to see if we could go somewhere, but that's what the hospitals are claiming.
Yeah, and we can't verify that. I also want to say that we're not doctors or anything, but we did take the ivermectin, and, you know, we're just letting you know our experience. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not doctors. And, you know, we took ivermectin, and you can go to the complete guide to health.com and find out where to get it. I mean, he says he has a United States doctor directory. I got in touch with one of these doctors, and I'm trying to get them on for the show. He has this guy first as Caduceus Medical Partners, and then I tried to get in touch with them. I didn't really have success with that, but this one I did. They're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I was talking to the doctor today, actually, and
is that the what's his name?
This one is it's Dr. I forgot which.
I listened to a show of that one of those Fort Lauderdale doctors, and
it's Brazilian Health Group, and I was talking to him. I'm like, why do you think that, you know, they're using this around the whole world, in India and Peru? You know, why are they using it here? He's like, well, you know how the United States are, and if it's not FDA approved, then they're not going to recommend it. But there are doctors in the United States who will recommend it. You can do a telemedicine call. I'm just letting our people know.
Yeah.
First, if you guys really, I don't know, there are loved ones that we can help save. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not doctors. I just want to let you know that I felt immediately better. Didn't you feel immediately better, Pasta?
You guys saw me the next day. Like, I took it and I was like happy and moving around. Like, I thought it was at the end of it. Now, the next 2 days, I still had a little bit of a downslope, whatnot. But once again, I took the ivermectin when I was already 4 days of symptoms into it.
Yeah.
Had I took it in the beginning, it might have been a lot different, whatnot.
Right.
I think that it was still making a play on its way out of my system. You know, but definitely I think the ivermectin saved me a lot of pain. And this is the thing we talked about. When it comes to the COVID, what we've seen, not doctors, what we've heard, is that it affects people where they have illnesses. I have not exercised.
Pre-existing condition.
Exactly. I have not exercised properly for the last 3 years. I just haven't. I'm a big guy. I'm 240 pounds now. Before I was a vegan, I was like 255, 260. So I have lost some weight and I've done some things for me, but I think it's proper. It will attack you in the areas that maybe you have weaknesses or pre-existing conditions. And I have to take my exercise serious. And I think that will help out with my heart, whatnot. And that's why I think I did have some mild chest pains. But believe you me, it was mild. And I do feel that once I took that ivermectin and pumped that stuff into my system, I felt 1,000,000 times better. Yeah. You guys saw me around the house. I was joking around. I was laughing. Yeah. I was ready to get back into things.
Yeah. I think we just needed more. But it's interesting how it affected us all completely different. Like, you're 100% right. It wasn't the same exact thing. Pasta never really got a cough or never really got a runny nose and all of that. None like of that. I did. I got the cough, the runny nose a lot. Johnny got some things. Johnny and I were more similar. Yeah. Maybe it's the age thing. I don't know. But
yeah, it was interesting. I was going to say, man, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, but guys, ivermectin, it's crazy to me that they give it in a country like Peru and in countries like India. But here, you know, I was talking to my mother on the phone. She's like, yeah, in America, they'll just send you to die. She's they only tell you to go to the hospital if you have trouble breathing. Now, for me, that was the biggest concern because, like I said, I had the cough and I've had pneumonia before and I've had beginnings of asthma before. So for me, even now, the cough is still there. I feel great as far as like everything else, but you guys can tell, like, I'm coughing and it hasn't gone away yet. So if it doesn't go away, I'm going to have to go in and see if they can do something else with the cough, but I don't know if they're going to because I have COVID. So they're going to say, oh, well, it was COVID. Yeah.
It
seems like sucks.
It seems like they want to push people towards the vaccines. They want to make a lot of money on it. There's no, what really, to tell you the truth, I went and bought a bunch of vitamins, right? Yeah. So with the vitamins and everything else, it's like for three of us, it's under $200. You know what I'm saying? I bought a lot of vitamins. Like, I bought expensive vitamins, and it's still so much dirt cheaper than any other treatment that they want you to take and stuff.
Or, no,
it's
then
ridiculous.
walking into a hospital and going to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Going to the
Getting
ER.
put on the ventilator
Well,
and then boom.
You guys went to urgent care, right?
Yeah. I forgot to say. Yeah, we did go to urgent care just in case to get an X-ray of our lungs to see if we had pneumonia developed from COVID.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Yeah.
We
that
were-
was the thing we were scared of.
Yeah.
And when your mom called me and said, Craig, get your ass to the hospital. I was like, okay, Mom, I'm going to go right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was keeping it from my mother that I was in pain. Like, I didn't tell her that. I didn't tell you guys in the beginning that my chest was hurting. And that's why when I was like, Dodger Stadium, I couldn't get in. I was really thinking about going to the hospital, but I'm like, people just go to the hospital to die. That's why I made the call to Goose.
And then they give you a giant bill.
Exactly. Which, I'm still going to get a bill now because I had to go get an EKG, get my vital signs checked because I want to make sure everything was all right. And
But
no.
sucks that you have to worry about that. Like, I'm not going to go to the emergency room because it's going to put me in debt for my $10,000.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was talking to the doctor in the urgent care, and she was telling me how they have ivermectin inside the hospitals. She's like, it's not out there to any doctor or urgent care you go to, but if you're in the hospital, they'll give it to you. That's what she told me.
It's weird.
Like,
it's weird.
So I don't understand. So the other thing I wanted to say is that I asked my doctor from Teledoc. It's the application. You can just telephone a doctor. It's made easy, right? They're not allowed to prescribe ivermectin.
The FDA is stopping them?
Because they follow whatever the Teledoc tells them to.
Jesus Christmas.
What Rogowski says is they listen to their overlords to get in between the patient and the doctor. Even though it's working in all these other countries, and there are doctors here who do it, these doctors aren't. He says they like the cojones.
This is why Grey's Anatomy comes into play here.
Oh, here we go. Certified TV doctor Fiorella. But the ivermectin is what? It's a parasite killer, right? They take it for people who live along the Nile River, I think, that can get that fly that can make them blind. So, and he was saying that they hand it out in other countries like candy, and it's inexpensive. It's not an expensive drug. Yeah. So therefore, the FDA and the overlords that want you to spend millions, they want you to get in debt, even though they're throwing us out of our houses now. It's ridiculous. So.
It's a money grab.
Yeah,
it is. Carmen at Briz, by the way, thank you for the super chat contribution.
But if you guys want to know, the complete guide to health.com, and then he has the United States Doctor Directory, so you can see where to find a doctor. He also has a bunch of other information here, like let's see, there was one in India, ivermectin white paper. So here it says, on September 1st, the Indian Journal of Tuberculosis published a white paper on ivermectin as a potential therapy for COVID-19. All the info's there. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of info here. There's a great website, United States Doctor Directory. If this can save lives, and I don't care about sharing it or whatever.
Yeah. Great point, Johnny.
It didn't hurt us at all in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
I think the worst that can happen is you get diarrhea.
Not even.
It's not even.
Not even. We didn't get any diarrhea, and we took a lot of vitamin C.
I'm not sure. We're not doctors, so.
But we could just tell you from our own personal experience. I'm glad that we knew Goose, and I'm glad we took it. And thank you, James Rogowski. We did a show on this, and if you can get a hold of some and it helps you out, then do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking no vaccine. Ain't happening. And how disgusting is it that the Democrats wanted to tie their stimulus checks to vaccines?
You don't know a vaccine.
What kind of shit is that?
Look, there's obviously a lot of politics too behind vaccines, which is why they take 10 years, and they shouldn't take 10 years. It should take maybe 5. But we're talking about making it super rush, and who's in charge? Big Pharma. Do I need to take it? No. I mean, I can get over this without a vaccine. So I'm okay. I don't even take the flu vaccine, guys. I've not taken that. So I'm not going to take the vaccine. I don't need it. But if somebody feels like they need it, that's their choice. But to make it mandatory, I'm not for that.
Super chat contribution from Natalie Chavez. Thank you, Natu. We love you. She's got that Tulsi shirt still on. Wow, you guys have COVID-19. My dad just had his kidney removed because he had cancer in it. And then we found out he has COVID. He is in the hospital right now.
I'm sorry.
Go get him some ivermectin.
I'm sorry, Natalie. That's tough. Ugh.
Sorry, Natalie. It's tough. We've had friends who, Jesus.
But yeah.
Who've lost loved ones. I mean, I lost my uncle. my Uncle Bobby, he had double pneumonia. But the thing is that my aunt also had COVID. She took the hydroxychloroquine and the Z-Pack, and she was fine after.
That hydroxychloroquine and Z-Pack, I'm telling you, I swear by that.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah.
I swear by that.
So it's a good cocktail. Anything else, Johnny?
Yeah, so George Gascon.
Oh, yes.
A DA. And I'm just going to go through this Twitter thread real quick. He said, 40 years ago, I walked my first beat as a young police officer. Today, I was sworn in as the 43rd District Attorney of Los Angeles. I'm not the same man when I first put on the uniform. One of the main reasons for that is because of situations I faced as a young officer. These experiences taught me that criminal justice is fundamentally broken. Today, we will usher in a new area of criminal justice and transform the largest criminal justice jurisdiction in America. The money bail system is as unsafe as it is unjust. Money is a terrible proxy for risk posed to society. So today we will end cash bail for any misdemeanor, non-serious, or non-violent felony offense. And I will end bail completely January 1st.
Yes.
Experts estimate that hundreds of individuals behind bars today will be eligible to be free tomorrow under this new pretrial release policy. Yeah, so there's a little bit more there. He's saying California's 1994 three strikes law has been a disaster. 3 strikes ends in my office beginning today.
Look at that.
The pursuit of justice is timeless, and that's why these policies will be applied retroactively. At least 20,000 people currently incarcerated in prison will now be eligible for consideration for resentencing. This will save California billions of dollars. At least 50% of all persons sentenced to state prison from LA are rated low risk to reoffend by prison officials. 95% of individuals who have served 20 years or more are rated at low risk to reoffend. Okay. My office will prioritize consideration for people convicted of nonviolent crimes. Those deemed low risk for release, people with demonstrated records of rehabilitation, older individuals, people who are especially at risk at COVID-19, and people sentenced to adult prison terms as children. Wow.
Didn't he meet with BLM too, Johnny?
He did.
Yeah, he went outside. He met with BLM.
He released
LA.
one of the activists.
He released one of the activists who got $1 million bail.
$1 million bail.
$1 million bail for the yellow slinky thing that you guys have seen in our live streams. He moved it, and then they're claiming that he was trying to interfere with the train because it looks like he moved it onto the train tracks.
$1 million bail. Can you imagine that?
So that was kind of ridiculous. But okay. This is not Jackie Lacey, and we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a good step.
It is a good step. I'll give it to him. Ending cash bail is a big deal, and to me that's the biggest one. And I'm suspect still, because his record in San Francisco wasn't great. I mean, you got to remember Chesa Boudin beat him in San Francisco for the DA position. Chesa Boudin is like an avowed socialist. Is the son of the couple that was like a hardcore radical, deemed terrorists. They did blow something up.
They're still in.
They're still in jail. Yeah. So he, by comparison, Gascon isn't that. No. But comparison to Jackie Lacey, I mean, people did come together and voted that woman out. I mean, this was like terrible. Black people voting against a black woman. They were constantly protesting. We attended every Wednesday at the Hall of Justice. We were there too. We've been there multiple times covering that. And I'm happy that Jackie Lacey is gone. I'm 100% happy. I wasn't necessarily trusting Gascon,
right,
but he is right now.
That's a good step.
Taking actions, right? He's taking actions. We'll see what happens. He's taking actions thus far. We'll see what he does. I don't think the police are happy.
He did say, Gascon, at that one thing we went to, Johnny, he said, you fight for freedom of speech with more speech. This is we got a little, can we play a little clip maybe?
Yeah.
Go ahead, buddy.
The Convo Couch has talked to George Gascon.
Yeah, I got a microphone in his face.
Before he was elected.
Before he was elected.
Couch, ladies and gentlemen, I am Craig Pasta Jardula. I forgot my own name here. I'm here with the man who just got the endorsement, the recommendation for the endorsement, George Gascon.
Got the endorsement.
Oh.
Got the recommendation Sunday, got the endorsement last night. So I am the sole endorsee of the Los Angeles County Democratic Party.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
You should be very proud. There's a lot of other people. So now, tonight, it was more like a town hall. It wasn't like a debate. We really didn't get some answers. We didn't see any stark differences between you and your opponent, your sole opponent now, Rachel Rossi, other than Jackie Lacey. What separates the two of you apart, and why should we vote for you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me tell you, I think the world of Rachel. We agree on policy. I respect her greatly. I think either one of us would be a better prosecutor. Having said that, what I bring to the table that is different is experience, and actually having done the work of reform for 8 years. So a lot of the things that I talked about today are not things that I wish to do or that I think I would do. It's things that I've done, right? Now, having said that, reform is a journey, it's not a destination. So I would never just simply sit here comfortably saying, well, we're just going to do what we did before.
Yeah.
No, we're going to do that, and we're going to continue in the journey, because reform and community safety actually travel together. When we reduce recidivism, when we reduce community trauma, we make our community safer. By lowering incarceration, we can actually make our community safer. So I have a baseline to come from.
Yeah.
I have a work history that people can look for. But that's only the beginning of a process. We have to make sure that our solutions are also going to be appropriate for LA County and that we can continue to learn and grow.
Well, what is one of your proudest accomplishments? I heard a couple good accomplishments tonight, some great things you've done as San Francisco DA, but you personally, which one makes you the most proudest that has been accomplished by George Gascon?
Well, the most proud thing, professionally or outside profession?
Professionally and inside. Let's get a little bit of both.
Okay, professionally is the decarceration process that we started in San Francisco and the progressive prosecutors movement that I very much was part of the beginning of. Personally, I have wonderful kids that I love, and I am very proud of them. And there are 2 girls that are very smart, and I'm very proud of them.
Last question. There are some pushback for some people that say George Gascon is good, but he does take some PAC money, and they don't like PAC money whatsoever. What do you have to say to some of the PAC money, even if it's a Sean King PAC that you have taken?
Well, actually, when people say that I've taken PAC money, the only PAC money that I've taken is money with people that have contributed to progressive causes. And those are the people that have also helped pass Prop 47, Prop 36, Prop 57. So the things that I believe in, okay? I will never take corporate money. I would never take money from corporate polluters. I would never take money from people that are against criminal justice reform.
Okay. Thank you so much, George Gascon.
George Gascon over there, guys.
Wow. Yeah, that was the Convo Couch there before he was even popular. Now a lot of people are listening to what he's saying because he's walking the walk. We'll see if it sticks.
No, this is a big, important action, but I think where he's going to fall short is no one, like you said, no one's like Chesa Boudin, right?
Yeah.
Because Chesa Boudin, who's now the DA in
San
Francisco, has filed homicide charges against an officer, a police officer. And that's like the first time in San Francisco history.
Yeah.
And
that's where they think Gascon will be weak, because he wouldn't do those things.
Because he wouldn't do it in San Francisco. Here's actually a video of Gascon under pressure in San Francisco, protesters outside of George Gascon's home in San Francisco. And this was before this was posted, Community Control Police posted this before Gascon made that tweet. Yeah. So let's just watch this.
Gonna indict the police officers, man.
Prick, coward. Do your fucking job. Justice for.
Hey, what are you doing, bro?
Fuck you. Don't be throwing that at me. Really? You hit me with it. Why you hit me with it for?
When you gonna indict the police officers, man?
Prick, coward. Do your fucking job. Justice for.
Hey, what are you doing, bro?
Fuck you. Don't be throwing that at me. Really? You hit me with it.
So
no one's perfect.
No one, yeah. But he did come out and speak to them this time. We'll see if he handles it better than what he handled that. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't have any expectations that he's going to be Chesa Boudin, but is it better than Jackie Lacey? I think people are basking right now in the glory that Jackie Lacey is gone, because in one day he did so much more than Jackie Lacey did in the whole time she was here. That's how bad we had it here with Jackie Lacey.
For years.
Yeah. Still the same concerns. The treatment towards the police. Are they going to let them get away with everything? Yeah. Are they going to hold them accountable? You know what I'm saying? We'll
maybe I wish the community, I don't know, BLMLA, if they were, pushing for Rachel Rossi, but she was a great candidate. She was a public defender.
Yep.
Previously a public defender, and
yeah.
I'll just read what I put here. Public defender Rachel Rossi for a quick interview. They had a debate, her and Gascon, and we went to it December 11th, 2019.
Yeah.
Damn, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
It was a tight race, too. It came down to the wire. Gascon didn't wipe the floor with Rachel.
No.
It was a very, very close race.
Yep.
She was also a public defender, so taking a public defender and making them the DA understands the other side, what goes on the other side of the table, the people you're prosecuting. So I think it was a huge move. I like this candidate. She came in here and did an interview with us too, as well. Not only this,
but he did pretty well too
right.
at that day.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just happy that Jackie Lacey didn't get the endorsement because, you know.
Gascon said you fight freedom of speech with more speech.
Yeah.
He said it on stage that night.
That's right,
So, I mean, I was very impressed that he
That was
said
good.
those things. Like I said,
Jackie Lacey didn't show up.
No, not at all. And that was the
debate.
thing. Like we were a little upset, I think, personally, because the optics in the room were terrible, and also the fact that they didn't really get into the stark differences between Rachel Rossi and George
the
Gascon.
questions
That's
were-
what I was. It was made them seem like they were together, that they were both progressive, and they were both kind of where I thought Rachel by far was more progressive than Gascon. She was another level of what was going on.
She
I
was
thought that Rachel Rossi would really
defenders.
hold police accountable, when they commit a crime. By the way, Gamer for Life, I want to send a special shout out to you, special person. He just got out of the hospital recently himself. We hope that you are feeling better, my man. So we're sending you some love from the Convo Couch. Everybody on the thread, send Gamer for Life some love. And Rachel Sotos, thank you for the Super Chat contribution on, not Super Chat, Super Ray contribution on Rokfin.
Yeah.
The Super Rock.
Super race.
Anything else, Johnny?
No, that's it.
All right,
All
guys.
right, that was a long show, guys. Thank you so much. It was really fun getting back on the couch with fams.
With fams.
If you have any extra love for us on our Patreon, we want to thank all those people over there who help us out every single month. It's awesome that you guys do that. We're gonna get back to business. I shouldn't say back to normal, but back to business. Getting out there, following the stories, bringing you up to date stuff that was going on. Johnny was doing some amazing work on this election. From what's going on, there are lawsuits that are still pending in California with the election. They have certified. However, it doesn't make a difference. They have 30 days to uncertify. Then they can recertify. Raji Rob's case still going at the fact that once you scan a ballot, you create accessibility, and that is illegal. It can never be accessed, or they can't provide the avenue to have something accessed. Raji Rob's case is going on. There are some people, I believe Castillo, right?
Elizabeth Castillo.
Angelica Duenas.
So two new lawsuits were filed. Maria Estrada filed a lawsuit, and Elizabeth Castillo.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Castillo got a Trump-appointed judge.
I think it was a Republican judge.
Republican.
It was a Schwarzenegger judge, I believe. No?
Okay. I'm not
She
sure.
said Trump appointed.
Was it Trump appointed?
Yeah.
All right. I looked up the judge. I think it was originally, he was appointed to a court in the California state by Schwarzenegger and a federal court by Donald Trump. So, yeah.
Well, the reason they're happy is because these people are more likely to listen to their demand. Even though these women are two of the most leftist, progressive women you will ever meet. I mean, hardcore. It's kind of crazy what's happening right now. But these are the only people fighting for election integrity. So they're kind of, they're going out there because it's about election integrity across the board, not what your affiliated ideology is.
There are some anti-establishment Republicans, though, that have also are about to file lawsuits, too, as well. They're working with the EIP, which is the Election Integrity Project. That is more of the Tom Fitton group. However, what they're contesting is the same thing that was going on in the Texas case, where Texas is now suing those other 4 states and 17 states have joined in, is that the shotgunning of the ballots was unconstitutional, that they didn't go through the procedures properly. In other words, Gavin Newsom gave instructions to his boy Alex Padilla, and under the COVID, the hidingness of COVID, they were able to say, we're going to shotgun out all these ballots because we want to keep people safe.
The vote by mail ballots.
What's that?
The vote by mail.
The vote by mail ballots. But the only problem is that you went against the Constitution, that the state legislatures have to make the laws.
I think they changed the election code. I'm not sure who changed the election code.
That's what they're saying. They're saying
I
that
think it was the
Padilla
state
changed the
assembly.
code. It wasn't the legislation. Therefore, it's illegal. That's what they're contesting.
That is illegal.
And that's what they're contesting in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. that these secretaries of states and these election officials do not have the right to do that. You have to go through the state legislations, and therefore the state legislations, if they didn't do that, it was unconstitutional and they were not allowed to send out those ballots. But I mean, what could go wrong, fam, if you send out a bunch of ballots and you have ballot harvesting and you have these unmarked ballot box wherever they want? I mean, what could go wrong,
Nothing,
fam?
absolutely nothing.
What could go
That's
wrong?
democracy.
It's
okay?
so stupid. And here's the thing that some of these progressives go by it and they swap out integrity for comfortability. Oh well, it's easy, it's awesome. Yeah, but you leave too many holes open for fraud.
There's a reason countries all over the world don't do that. I'm just saying. All right, guys, that was a long show. Thanks so much for watching and for supporting us, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you, guys. Convo
out.
Johnny
God, say it right.
Peace.